Chapter 661. Can't help what? LV Wenho didn't say, but Wang Xing knew very well that it must be the place of thousand extremes. Apart from the imperial treasury and the camp set up by Wang Sheng, there was no other place in the place of thousand extremes. The Song family had a camp, but it was more than 100 miles away from the edge of the core area. The underground palace occupied by the Laojun Taoist temple would not be taken out at all. In this case, the major vassal states were certainly dissatisfied and were likely to make things difficult for LV Wenho and Wang Sheng at the handover ceremony of LV Wenho's business, demanding that the vassal states completely open the place of thousand extremes. If it was before entering the core area of the place of thousand extremes, Wang Sheng would definitely not talk. Why should the resources of the place of thousand extremes be shared with them? But now, since Wang Sheng knew that the girl in his dreams was in the core area of the place of thousand extremes, Wang Sheng changed his mind. If he wanted to see the girl in his dreams one day earlier, he had to break the blockade of the core area of the place of thousand extremes one day earlier. What would it take to break the blockade by relying on Wang Sheng alone? The right way was to borrow the strength of all parties. It just so happened that all parties came to him, so Wang Sheng might as well take advantage of the situation and agree. What does the Imperial Treasury think? Wang Sheng and LV Wenho drank a cup of wine and then asked very seriously. We've eaten enough, it's time to stop. LV Wenho was a real businessman, and an extremely successful one at that. He saw the situation very clearly, judged very accurately, and made a clean decision. If we don't stop now, we'll be the public enemy of the world. Okay, then let's make one last profit. Wang Sheng was also straightforward. The two only used a few words to set the tone of the matter. The inauguration ceremony of the new head of the Imperial Treasury was 3 days later. Wang Sheng was arranged to stay in the heavenly VIP tower, where he was treated as the most distinguished guest. Even if Wang Sheng had no attendants around him, it did not prevent the Imperial Treasury from elevating Wang Sheng to the highest position. The other guests, even the representatives of the vassal states, did not have any objections to this. In terms of title, aside from being lower than the Duke of Song, Wang Sheng was on equal footing with the marquises of the other vassal states. They were all marquises conferred by the emperor himself. In terms of the relationship with the Imperial Treasury, Wang Sheng and the Imperial Treasury were business partners. Both sides of the camp in the land of 1,000 to spare were shareholders who divided the profits equally. It would be rude of the Imperial Treasury not to entertain them grandly. Tongxing City was indeed the nest of the Imperial Treasury. Originally, this city was located at the intersection of the Song, Tang, and Xiu vassal states. But when the three families were still families, the old owner of the Imperial Treasure House had already obtained the approval of the three families. This place was independent of the three families and did not belong to any one of them. It was operated by the Imperial Treasure House. However, there was a condition. The independent city was limited to Tongxing City. Outside the city was the territory of each family. In other words, the Imperial Treasure House was the local tyrant in the city, but outside the city, it was the territory of other families. Even if the Imperial Treasure House wanted to grow some food, it was impossible. There was no land outside the city. But what was the Imperial Treasure House? It was a big business in the world. Since when did it need to rely on food to survive? Everything in the city was bought. Clothing, food, housing, and transportation were not lacking. There were no other businesses in the city. Only the Imperial Treasure House occupied all the industries. The entire Tongxing City could be regarded as the headquarters of the Imperial Treasure House. Now, Tongxing City was decorated with lanterns and streamers, gongs and drums. There was a cheerful atmosphere. Everyone was rejoicing, waiting to welcome the ceremony of the young master, Marquis LV Wenho, 3 days later. This was a major event for the Imperial Treasure House. It was equivalent to handing over the entire industry of the Imperial Treasure House to Marquis LV Wenho. If it was a family, Marquis LV Wenho would be the head of the family after the ceremony. If the Imperial Treasure House was a vassal state, then Marquis LV Wenho would be the king in the future. Such a ceremony naturally had to be grand and could not be a little bit slow. Moreover, all the guests had to be received well, and no one could be neglected. Naturally, for a period of time before and after this ceremony, it was best for all parties to lay low and not cause any trouble for the Imperial Treasure House in Tongxing City. Otherwise, they would be the enemy of the Imperial Treasure House. To exaggerate a little, even if it was the enemy at this time, they had to send congratulatory gifts according to the etiquette. As a matter of fact, the enemy in the business field, Bao Qing Yutang, not only prepared a generous gift, but the person who came to the ceremony was the old owner of Bao Qing Yutang, the current helmsman. Marquis LV Wenho only met with Wang Sheng on the first night of Wang Sheng's arrival. He served Wang Sheng and had no chance to see him again. But the little beauty Ling came twice in between. While greeting Wang Sheng, she also saw what else Wang Sheng needed. You don't plan to prepare any congratulatory gifts at all? The little beauty Ling and Wang Sheng had always been impolite. It was not unusual for the two to often fight when they met. So when Miss Ling questioned Wang Sheng with a dissatisfied face, the servants in the Heaven VIP building were not surprised at all. They all pretended not to hear or see. Prepare what? Wang Sheng retorted. Buy something from your Imperial Treasure House and then give it to your Imperial Treasure House. Do you think it's interesting? Linger was speechless for a while. Yes, this was Tongxing City, and all the shops in it belonged to the Imperial Treasure House. It was too boring to buy something from the Imperial Treasure House and then give it to the young master of the Imperial Treasure House. Humph! Other families have congratulatory gifts, but you don't. Let's see how you get off the stage when the time comes. Linger snorted coldly and was about to leave. You can't blame me for this. No one told me that there was such a business taking over ceremony before I came. Wang Sheng sat there and said slowly to Ling, who had already walked out of the door, if you want to blame someone, blame the person who picked me up. He didn't say anything, don't you think? Humph! Ling stopped outside the door and snorted coldly again. She stomped her feet and said, don't blame me for not informing you. Qian Xingyuan and the owner of Runzi Workshop are said to be attending this ceremony. It's up to you whether you want to see them or not. You came to inform me of this? Wang Sheng's voice came from the room. Then what are you waiting for? Why don't you invite them over? I knew you couldn't bear to see them. Pervert. After Miss Ling once again gave Wang Sheng the title she thought of, she left the VIP building without looking back. It didn't take long for Mayor, accompanied by several guards, to come all the way to the VIP building. Seeing Wang Sheng, Mayor didn't care about the eyes of the people around her. Like a swallow returning to its nest, she threw herself into Wang Sheng's arms, happy like a cheerful deer. Why are you here? Wang Sheng naturally held Mayor's slender waist with one hand and asked with a smile, did the Imperial Treasure House also send you an invitation? The Imperial Treasure House has an invitation. Mayor carefully glanced at Wang Sheng's expression and replied happily. However, it's mainly about Bao Qing Yutang. I want to discuss it with you. Chapter 662. Bao Qing Yutang. Old Master is your adoptive father, and you owe him more than the heavens. Wang Sheng smiled and lowered his head to say to Mayor, I've said it before, you make the decision. No matter what decision you make, I will support you. Mayor embraced Wang Sheng, her pretty face pressed against Wang Sheng's chest. Her face was full of happiness, and she didn't say anything. She just felt warm all over. The servants in charge of serving had already left when Mayor came in, leaving Wang Sheng and Mayor alone. Wang Sheng could feel Mayor's happiness, but Wang Sheng suddenly found that he didn't know how to face Mayor. In the core of the land of 1,000 despair, Wang Sheng could feel the existence of the girl in his dreams. If Wang Sheng really rescued the girl in his dreams one day, how would Wang Sheng face the girl in his dreams and Mayor? It was indeed a difficult problem. On Earth, Wang Sheng wasn't good at dealing with relationships, and in this world, it was even more so. Sometimes, Wang Sheng didn't even know how to reject Mayor, Aki, and Song Yan, but they just had to be involved with him, and he really didn't know what to do in the future. Fortunately, Wang Sheng didn't need to make choice yet. He would think about it when the time came. When the car comes to the mountain, there will be a road, and when the boat comes to the bridgehead, there will be a way. What gift did you prepare for Marquis LV Wonho's inauguration ceremony? Wang Sheng wanted to let Mei sit down, but Mei hugged Wang Sheng tightly. In the end, Wang Sheng could only sit down with Mei in his arms. Mei was still curled up in Wang Sheng's arms. Hearing Wang Sheng's question, Mei raised her head and smiled. That's easy. Runzi Workshop has prepared a set of limited edition top-notch cosmetics that you mentioned. Qian Xingyuan took a set of unique master equipment, which is worth 5 million gold coins. That's enough. And sure, Wang Sheng nodded and instructed Mei, remember, when the Shi clan and the Gan clan ask for help in the future, let them bear this part. Don't let them off easily. Okay. Mei agreed without hesitation. Her eyes even shone with the light of gold coins. Days passed quickly. Mei had only rested for more than a day, and the day of the inauguration ceremony of the Imperial Treasure House had arrived. The whole Tongxing city had turned into a sea of joy. Gongs and drums had been ringing since the morning. It was a festive scene. Everyone had a smile on their faces. At least the people of the Imperial Treasure House were very satisfied with the ability of LV Wenho, the young owner. LV Wenho took over the business of the Imperial Treasure House and won the hearts of the people. The old owner and LV Wenho, one old and one young, stood at the door of the largest and most central house in Tongxing City, greeting distinguished guests from all sides. Wang Sheng and Mei also came very early. Wang Sheng regarded LV Wenho as a friend, so he didn't care about the rule that distinguished guests should come later. It was the first time that Wang Sheng met the old owner of the Imperial Treasure House. To be honest, the appearance of the old owner was similar to what Wang Sheng had guessed. There was a vague shadow of LV Wenho on his face. At first glance, it was obvious that he was a romantic and elegant figure when he was young. He was even more handsome than LV Wenho. His face was more vicissitudes of life than LV Wenho, and he had more beard, but he looked more charming. He gave people the feeling that he was more reliable than LV Wenho, who was hairless and unreliable. Of course, this was only the first impression. If anyone despised LV Wenho because of his handsome appearance, he would definitely die very quickly. LV Wenho was definitely an expert profiteer who ate people without spitting out the bones. After saying congratulations several times, Mei presented the gift list. LV Wenho personally took the two into the house with a smile on his face and settled them down. Then he returned to the door to greet the guests. It didn't take long for guests from all sides to come to the door. Those who could be arranged around Wang Sheng were basically only the representatives of the vassal states. Wang Sheng didn't recognize all these people, but these people all recognized Wang Sheng, and they were all very polite. When they met, they first saluted Wang Sheng. After all, Wang Sheng was Chongqing Marquis. The emperor personally conferred the title of Chongqing Marquis, and they still needed help from Wang Sheng, so they were very polite. On a festive day, if they were unhappy, wouldn't they not give face to the host? These guests were all veterans in this field. They would absolutely give face on a big occasion, but some people did not play cards according to common sense and made trouble. The cause was very ridiculous. Wang Sheng had a title of nobility, and the representatives of the vassal states were also official figures. Naturally, they sat in the most distinguished area, and the arrangement of the Imperial Treasure House was understandable. The problem was that some people were unhappy, especially after seeing Mei. They were even more unhappy and took the opportunity to attack. Hey, isn't this the owner of Qian Xingyuan and Runzi Workshop in the capital? A cold and arrogant voice that made people uncomfortable sounded in everyone's ears. How come you are sitting in the distinguished area of the official's house? Has she become a marquis's wife? Why didn't I see a happy event? And why didn't you inform me? Mei and Wang Sheng were together, and everyone had already regarded Mei as the marquis's wife, but the embarrassing thing was that Wang Sheng had never admitted it to the public, although he did not deny it. After all, he had not really held a happy event. In this world, this was not legitimate. Where did this crow come from? Noisy. Wang Sheng did not look back and directly scolded. Get out. He was beside Mei, and someone dared to provoke him like this. Did they not want to live? If it were not for Marquis Lu Wenho's face, Wang Sheng would have made a move on the spot. The young master of Baoqing Yutang, the son of the old master. Mei Er whispered in Wang Sheng's ear, but Wang Sheng had already heard her anger. But in the case of Wang Sheng standing up for her, Mei Er would not do anything superfluous. Loser. Hearing this identity, Wang Sheng directly defined the other party. Marquis Lu Wenho, the young master of the Imperial Treasure House, was also holding a succession ceremony today, but the son of the owner of Baoqing Yutang had been stripped of all his power, and the old master personally attended the ceremony. Not to mention the old master, he was far worse than Mei Er in the past. When this guy came to power, in addition to eliminating dissidents, he took it for granted to force Wang Sheng to cooperate. Was this the style of doing business? Arrogant and despotic, regardless of the occasion. Today's ceremony was the top priority of the Imperial Treasure House. Even if this guy could come, it was estimated that he came with his father. As a guest, he should not care about the arrangement of the host. The guest should follow the host. Was this something that a guest should care about? What's more, the old master of Baoqing Yutang came over, clearly intending to talk with Wang Sheng about cooperation afterwards. Originally, because of the kindness of Mei Er's upbringing, this matter could be said to have been spat out and could be carried out. But when this prodigal opened his mouth, not to mention Wang Sheng, even Mei Er was probably angry. Don't worry. If he dares to make things difficult for you, I'll get it back from his father tenfold, 100-fold, Wang Sheng said softly to Mei Er as he glared at the fellow. Mei Er gently nodded her head and ignored that fellow. Seeing that no one paid attention to him, the former young master of Baoqing Yutang became more and more arrogant. What, did I say it right? Adulterous couple? Chapter 663. Wang Sheng finally turned around. What everyone saw was Wang Sheng's indifferent expression and the flickering, killing intent in his eyes. Anyone who had killed before would be able to see the glint in Wang Sheng's eyes. Being stared at by Wang Sheng's cold eyes, Baoqing Yutang's former young master, who was talking nonsense just now, suddenly couldn't say anything. He only felt a panic in his heart, and the fear of death instantly took over. His legs went soft, and he almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, there was a chair at the side for him to support, and this young master didn't make a fool of himself on the spot. But even so, he still let out a strange cry, turned around, and fled frantically. He stumbled along the way, and no matter how many furniture and ornaments he bumped into, he didn't know how many guests and servants he bumped into. Just a gaze mixed with the word confrontation was enough to make this young master piss in his pants. This fellow was just a useless fool. He really didn't know what his father was thinking. Why did he want to help such an idiot to the position of a master? But it was obviously impossible in the future unless Baoqing Yutang didn't want to cooperate with Wang Sheng, or else the guy wouldn't have the chance to climb up again. The killing intent in Wang Sheng's eyes wasn't fake, and he really had the intention to kill. This guy actually dared to scold him and Mei Er in front of so many people, it wouldn't be enough even if he died 10,000 times. If it was just scolding Wang Sheng wouldn't stoop to his level, but he shouldn't have dragged Mei Er into this. Even if he changed the environment and stayed in the room alone, he could scold as he pleased. Anyway, Wang Sheng guessed that he would definitely do the same at home, but he dared to jump out and scold in public. If he didn't die, who would? LV Wenho's little girlfriend, Linger, also said these words to Wang Sheng in the car as a joke, so Wang Sheng didn't care. Although Ling was arrogant, she knew the situation. She could joke about it in private, but if he dared to say it in public, even Ling would have to die. He had already sentenced this guy to death in his heart, so Wang Sheng didn't care about him at all. What was there to argue with a dead man? The interlude just now seemed to have gone with the wind, and no one took it seriously. Everyone did what they had to do, chatting and communicating with each other, waiting for the ceremony to begin. Wang Sheng understood that Mei Er was not in a good mood. She wanted to help her adoptive father, but this so-called brother was so vicious, which made her feel conflicted. By the way, I still don't know the surname of Baoqing Yutang's boss. Wang Sheng asked after pondering for a while. His surname is Zhu, Mei Er answered quickly. She had never mentioned these things to Wang Sheng before. So you used to call me Zhu Mayor? This was the first time Wang Sheng had called Mayor by her full name. I used to. Mayor seemed to have thought of something, and she became firm. I don't have a surname now. I'm called In. Just live your life. Wang Sheng affirmed. There's no need to argue with a dead man, is there? You want to kill him? Mayor was a little surprised. In fact, Mayor wanted to kill that guy with her own hands, but she still cared about old Master Zhu's upbringing. She was afraid that he would be sad, so she didn't do it. If she really wanted to kill him, with Mayor's current financial resources, that guy would have died many times over. Do I still need to do it? Wang Sheng sneered. So many people have seen it. As long as anyone wants to curry favor with me, that guy's head won't stay on his neck until tomorrow. Would there be anyone who would curry favor with Wang Sheng? What a joke in this VIP lounge. If Wang Sheng owed them a favor by holding that guy's head, that guy would have been beheaded even if he had 10,000 heads. You don't have to think too much. Seeing that Mayor seemed to be in a difficult position, Wang Sheng directly advised, I'm not so cheap that I'll die after being scolded in public. He chose his own path, and he has to bear the consequences. Hearing Wang Sheng's words, Mayor originally wanted to persuade him, but she dispelled this idea in time. First, that guy was too hateful. Second, it wasn't Wang Sheng who did it. Could Wang Sheng stop others from doing it? If Wang Sheng really begged everyone not to kill him for that guy, then Wang Sheng and her would lose face. Strange, even if he is usually stupid, after learning the last lesson, he shouldn't be so stupid, right? After Mayor gave up on the young master, she suddenly thought of a question. Didn't you say that old Master Zhu wanted to cooperate with you again? Why did he jump out like this? Knowing that his father wanted to cooperate with Wang Sheng, this Zhu Xiaodong still ran here to scold Wang Sheng and Mayor. There must be some unknown story. He's just a pawn used by others, cannon fodder. Wang Sheng almost didn't have to think about it, and came to a conclusion in an instant. It's estimated that he promised to help him get back the position of the owner, so he couldn't wait to jump out to provoke us. Wait and see. We'll know his fate soon. Mayor nodded and said no more. At this time, it was also the auspicious time, and the inauguration ceremony began. In the eyes of all the guests who came to watch the ceremony, the old owner of the Imperial Treasure House personally handed the gold medal with the word treasure engraved on it, which symbolized the management authority of the Imperial Treasure House, to LV Wenho. From then on, the old owner retired to the second line to enjoy retirement, and LV Wenho completely came to the front. In the future, LV Wenho could no longer be called the young master of the Imperial Treasure House, but the owner of the Imperial Treasure House, LV Wenho. After the ceremony, the shopkeepers of the Imperial Treasure House first saluted LV Wenho, and then saluted the former owner, representing that the shopkeepers also recognized the status of LV Wenho. Then came the guests. Almost everyone who came forward to congratulate LV Wenho and the old owner, and then the protocol would read out the gifts brought by the guests. This was basically the process of LV Wenho and the old owner's thanks. Wang Sheng and the vassal states were all distinguished guests. They had to wait for the business friends to congratulate them before it was their turn. Naturally, the order was also in accordance with the rank of the vassal states, from low to high. The others came on behalf of the marquises, but Wang Sheng himself was a marquis, so he was ranked third from the bottom. Behind him was the representative of Duke Song, who was one level higher than Wang Sheng, and the last was the representative of the royal family. Everything was carried out in an orderly manner, but when it was Wang Sheng and Mayor's turn, the protocol had just finished reading the gift list of Moisturizing Workshop and Xian Xingyuan, and the representatives of the merchants and the vassal states were still pondering the value of this gift list. Zhu Xiaodong's annoying voice sounded again. This is the gift list of Moisturizing Workshop and Xian Xingyuan. I wonder what gift Chang Shengho has prepared for yourself. All the vassal states have big gifts for you. Chapter 664. Boom! Zhu Xiaodong's words immediately caused the scene to boil. Who in this world didn't know that Qian Shengyuan and Runzi Workshop were the properties of Chang Shengho Mansion? The gifts from Qian Shengyuan and Runzi Workshop should be the gifts from Chang Shengho Mansion. Why did this guy jump out and say this? Did he deliberately spoil the fun? Shut up. When did you have a right to speak? Master Zhu of Baoqing Hall was also among the guests just now. When he heard his son suddenly ask such a ridiculous question, his vision darkened. He stood up and scolded, "Why don't you quickly apologize?" Not long ago in the VIP lounge, old owner Zhu hadn't had the time to settle the score with his troublesome son. He had just ordered his men to take him away first and bring him to Wang Sheng and Mei to kowtow and apologize after the matter was over. But for some reason, this fellow actually ran out and came here to speak nonsense. Wasn't this putting Bao Qingyu Hall on the fire to roast? The world is big, but the truth is the most important. Isn't this the Marquis's own words? Zhu Xiaodong ignored his father's scolding and just provoked Wang Sheng. Qin Xingyuan and Runzi Workshop are friends of the Imperial Treasure House, so it's reasonable for them to send gifts. But the Marquis seems to have come empty-handed, not giving the Imperial Treasure House any face. Lu Wenho's eyes instantly became sharp. Causing trouble at his inauguration ceremony. Was he courting death? Two people on both sides signaled with their eyes. Immediately, two people dressed like servants slowly walked towards the place where Zhu Xiaodong was sitting and were about to take him out to control. However, beside Zhu Xiaodong, for figures dressed as servants suddenly appeared with their heads lowered. They split into four corners and firmly protected Zhu Xiaodong. As soon as the two servants walked over, two of them each stretched out a hand and pushed them back a few steps, almost falling onto the guests. Was this going to shed all pretense of cordiality? Not only Lu Wenho, even Old Master Lu was angry. His cold eyes glanced at Old Master Zhu of Baoqing Yutang and then turned to Zhu Xiaodong. Everyone could see that the two generations of Lu family's helmsmen were about to explode. Next, Zhu Xiaodong would probably suffer unprecedented crazy revenge. You're right. Just when everyone thought that the scene was about to explode, Wang Sheng suddenly said, "It's true that I didn't give a gift. It's a bit rude. However, it's not too late to send it now. I was just about to present Brother Lu with borrowed flowers as a gift." Empty words? Is this your gift? Seeing Wang Sheng answer and admit that he didn't bring any gifts, Zhu Xiaodong became even more arrogant and asked sternly, "I've already said that I'm presenting Buddha with borrowed flowers." Wang Sheng smiled, then turned to Lu Wenho and said, "Originally, I had a small business cooperation with Baoqing Yutang, but now it seems that we can't cooperate, so I'll pass it on to Brother Lu." Thank you, thank you." LV Wenho's expression changed even faster than Wang Sheng's. He was as cold as frost just now, but when he faced Wang Sheng, he was as warm as spring. A business cooperation with Baoqing Yutang. Hearing this, the guests at the scene were in an uproar again. Since Wang Sheng's debut, he had pointed out several businesses that could be considered as business. Which one of them wasn't a big business that made a lot of money? Snow candy, refined salt, snake medicine, protective clothing, Qin Shengyuan, moisturizing workshop. Even the most uninnovative camp in the Thousand Despair Grounds was raking in money every day. There were many businessmen at the scene. Hearing Wang Sheng's words, many of them wished that they were LV Wenho. A business of Wang Sheng's would definitely make people drool with envy. If they weren't from the business world, how could they know the famous name of Wang Sheng's Golden Touch? If Wang Sheng was really willing to give him a business, they would be willing to immediately give their daughters to Wang Sheng. Did Wang Sheng want his wife? If he did, he dared to give it to him. Baoqing Yutang's Old Master Zhu was so angry that he couldn't even breathe and fainted. A business that should have belonged to his family had been transferred to someone else with a single sentence from his son. Other than fainting, what else could Old Master Zhu do? Perhaps he could only break this unfilial son's legs when he woke up and never let him leave the house. Zhu Xiaodong obviously didn't expect that his provocation of Wang Sheng would result in such a result. He was dumbfounded for a moment. Wang Sheng's words were very clear. It was originally prepared for Baoqing Yutang. Didn't this mean that after he provoked Wang Sheng, he threw away the benefits that should have been given to him? What business? For a moment, Zhu Xiaodong forgot that he should continue to clamor with Wang Sheng in order to achieve the goal of those who helped him. He absent-mindedly asked, even if it was a loss, He should know what he had lost, right? He was indeed a businessman. Even in this kind of situation, he still had a look at how much he had lost. Whatever business. Seeing that this guy could still ask such a question, Wang Sheng also laughed involuntarily. He was just an idiot who was fooled by others. There was really no need to lower himself to his level. What do you mean? Zhu Xiaodong didn't understand for a while. Wasn't he going to give the Imperial Treasure House a business? Why didn't he say what kind of business it was? What did he mean by whatever business? Zhu Xiaodong didn't react, but it didn't mean that the businessmen and guests over there didn't react. Similarly, Lu Wenho also understood the meaning of Wang Sheng in an instant. His heart was burning, and his face was full of surprise. Those guests were even more envious that their saliva was about to flow out. Wang Sheng said whatever business it was, which meant that whatever business the Imperial Treasure House wanted to do, they could cooperate with Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng must have a more high-end and profitable business than the current business, which could make both sides earn uncountable money. Was there no salt and sugar business before? Was there no rouge and powder before? Was there no stationery before? But once the snow sugar and refined salt came out, didn't they immediately make a fortune? Once the moisturizing workshop came out, it immediately became a holy land in the hearts of all the women in the world. It was even more desirable than the palace next to it. As for Qian Xingyuan, you can ask any scholar now and give him a set of Qian Xingyuan's fine works. Would he be willing to work for you? After all, Zhu Xiaodong was also a businessman. Even if he was not qualified, he was still from a business family. Under the influence of what he saw and heard, it was impossible for him to not know anything. When he asked what it meant, he suddenly understood. So this was what it meant. Zhu Xiaodong suddenly wanted to slap himself a few times. If he had known that Wang Sheng had prepared such a big gift for Bao Qing Yutang, if he had known that his father might get such a cooperation this time, why would he bother to agree to those people's conditions for the so-called status? Didn't those people agree to let him control Bao Qing Yutang? However, the problem was that a Bao Qing Yu Hall that was in shambles and a Bao Qing Yu Hall that had Wang Sheng's cooperation were two completely different things. Chapter 665. Right and wrong were caused by talking too much, and troubles were caused by standing up for others. Zhu Xiaodong's current situation was the perfect explanation for this. Originally, this scene had nothing to do with him at all, but he had to jump out. Now he lost everything. Not only did he give away his things to others, but he also got himself into a mess. Just now, Zhu Xiaodong asked, "What do you mean?" No one at the scene answered him at all. Whether they understood or didn't understand, they didn't want to talk to him. This was the inauguration ceremony of the Imperial Treasure House. Zhu Xiaodong jumped out to make trouble for so many people. Whoever dared to touch him would be unlucky. "Brother Lu, congratulations." Wang Xing didn't even bother to look at Lu Wenho as he cupped his hands and congratulated him. "Thank you very much." LV Wenho also naturally returned the gesture. The two of them acted skillfully and naturally, but they didn't even pay attention to Zhu Xiaodong, who jumped out. Next was the representative of Marquis Song, and then the representative of the royal family. One by one, Zhu Xiaodong didn't dare to say anything. It was not known whether he knew he couldn't afford to offend them or he was confused. Except for the little disturbance that Zhu Xiaodong jumped out. So far, the inauguration ceremony of the Imperial Treasure House had come to an end smoothly. Next, it was naturally the Imperial Treasure House's big banquet to entertain distinguished guests from all sides. Among the businessmen, many people were wondering what business Wang Sheng was going to cooperate with the Imperial Treasure House this time, and whether it would affect their own business. It should be known that Wang Sheng's idea in the past few times was to make snow candy and refined salt. Who would still eat ordinary gray sugar and coarse salt? As soon as Runzi Workshop was launched, the rouge and powder shops in the capital almost couldn't open anymore. If it weren't for the fact that the outside world hadn't been fully radiated here, it would have been difficult for other places. Only Qian Xingyuan didn't occupy the living space of ordinary stationery shops, but which ambitious scholar didn't regard a set of Qian Xingyuan as an ideal. In addition, everyone sighed at Bao Qing Yutang. Owner Zhu was a good senior, and he was conscientious in business, so he brought Baoqing Yutang to that scale. After it was replaced by the younger generation, Mayer, the business of snow candy and refined salt became even more flourishing. Fresh flowers and brocade, cooking oil. Unfortunately, an obstinate and self-opinionated son, Zhu Xiaodong, had completely destroyed everything. Old Master Zhu was still in a coma. Obviously, he was very angry. While sighing, everyone was curious. Where had Zhu Xiaodong gone? The crowd did not see him. Everyone guessed that he was too ashamed to face anyone and had no idea where he was hiding. What a pity. Zhu Laodong's master was not bad, but his son was not taught well. What no one knew was that Zhu Xiaodong, whom everyone was curious to find, was with Wang Sheng at this moment. Of course, it was not just him, but a group of them. Wang Sheng was currently with the representatives of the various vassal states and the royal family. Not only were there representatives from the government, but there were also representatives from several large firms. Lu Wenho of the Imperial Treasure House was one of them. Coincidentally, Baoqing Yutang also seemed to be qualified. Old Master Zhu was slightly unwell, and that annoying Zhu Xiaodong actually participated in this meeting as a representative. In the final analysis, the representatives of the vassal states and the royal family to attend the inauguration ceremony of the Imperial Treasure House was just an excuse. No matter how strong the Imperial Treasure House was, it was at most a large chain of firms. How could the royal family and the major vassal states put them in their eyes? It was just an excuse. It just so happened that the matter was related to the Imperial Treasure House, so everyone gathered together to discuss an explanation. Did the Imperial Treasure House really have such a big face? When he first met Lu Wenho, Wang Sheng actually knew these things. The two of them had a tacit understanding and only used 2 sentences to set the tone. Gathering together to discuss was just to see how they could make these fellows bleed again. There were more than a dozen representatives from the vassal states alone, plus the representatives of 4 or 5 merchants, the royal family, Wang, Sheng, and Mayer. There were more than 20 people. The Imperial Treasury had prepared a large reception room for everyone to sit down. However, the seating arrangement was also carefully arranged according to the titles of the representatives. The royal family was the largest, the Song state was second, Wang Sheng was third, and the rest were arranged in order. The representatives of the merchants, of course, accompanied the last seat. The Imperial Treasure House also had the advantage of being the host, so Lu Wenho could act as a temporary host as the owner of a merchant. The venue had been surrounded by the guards brought by all parties. No one could get close without the permission of the people inside. Not to mention entering the venue. Even if they were within 100 feet of the venue, they would be interrogated. This was the private place of the Imperial Treasure House, and no one would pay attention to it, even if there was a big cover. Close the door, Lu Wenho shouted, and all the doors of the courtyard outside the venue were closed. Everyone was also in high spirits. After the stage of small talk, it was time to get down to business. Everyone, taking advantage of the opportunity of the Imperial Treasure House to gather everyone here, we can also discuss the camp in the land of Thousand Despair. Lu Wenho did not know how many times he had seen this kind of scene, so he did not have stage fright at all. He said generously, "If you have any ideas or opinions, you can put them forward. But let me say the ugly words first. It doesn't matter how we quarrel here, but if the result is out and someone is not happy and wants to make trouble, then don't blame us for not giving face." Lu Wenho seemed to have learned from Wang Sheng's experience and said all the ugly words first. If you really provoke public anger and are attacked by a group of people, then no one will help you. A group of people nodded. Everyone wanted a result, and if they were really not satisfied, they could quarrel here again to get a result. It was not worthwhile to do that kind of tasteless thing later. There was a representative of the emperor here, and it would not be a joke. In that case, I will say it first. Lu Wenho saw everyone nodded, and no longer continued to entangle with this rule. He said, "The camp of the Imperial Treasure House can be said to be the only one in the land of Thousand Despair. It has been operating for so many years, and it can barely be said to be smooth sailing." Lu Wenho looked at the representatives and said, "However, I also know that everyone feels that the scale of the camp is not enough to meet the needs of all parties, so you all want to join in and expand. This is not impossible to discuss, but how to do it depends on what ideas everyone has. Hearing that Lu Wenho finally said that it could be discussed, everyone was relieved. Finally, this opening was opened, and it was up to everyone to fight for it. That's true. But before everyone could speak, Zhu Xiaodong's voice, which made people very uncomfortable at the ceremony, sounded again. I just want to ask Wang Sheng, you alone, how can you dominate the land of thousand despair? Chapter 666. As soon as Zhu Xiaodong said this, the representatives of the various vassal states all turned to look at Wang Sheng. To be honest, they had long wanted to question Wang Sheng about this, but they were afraid that they would lose face if they asked, and there would be no way for them to cooperate in the future. Zhu Xiaodong's question was good, brilliant, and brilliant. Upon hearing that, Wang Sheng understood what was going on. This Zhu Xiaodong was secretly supported by an unknown family, and they must have promised him something to make trouble here. Of course, the most important thing was to let Wang Sheng break the monopoly of the Thousand Despair Grounds so that all parties could participate and benefit from it. What a pitiful fool! Wang Sheng evaluated in his heart, and a cold smile appeared on his face. How dare you? Wang Sheng did not reply. The one who shouted was the representative of the royal family, and from the shrill voice, it was obvious that it was an inner servant. Marquis Changsheng is a marquis personally conferred by the emperor. You're just a commoner. How dare you call the marquis by his name? In the next sentence, the inner servant gave a convincing reason. Wang Sheng was a marquis, and Zhu Xiaodong was just a representative of a merchant family. You can call him marquis, and you can ask for his name, but you can't call him by his name. This point was unanimously affirmed by the representatives of the vassal states. Otherwise, if they were to call Wang Sheng by his name, wouldn't it be an insult if they were to call him by his name in such a rude manner? When the Lord is worried, his subjects will be humiliated. If the Lord is humiliated, the subjects will die. Seeing that almost all the officials had the same attitude, Zhu Xiaodong did not dare to be too presumptuous. How could he offend the public when the people behind him did not support him? He could only change the way he addressed him. Marquis, you alone, how can you dominate the Thousand Despair Grounds? With one sentence from Wang Sheng, the Song family's campsite was closed, and the Song family had to obediently close down. With one sentence from the Dai family, the experts of the Dai family had to stay outside and watch others cultivate inside. Everyone knew that Wang Sheng had relied on his huge army of man-eating ants and his familiarity with the Thousand Despair Grounds, but no one was convinced. If you were a big force, then it would be fine. But you're obviously just one person, yet you're monopolizing the Thousand Despair Grounds and not allowing anyone to benefit from it. That's unacceptable. I have my reasons for being able to dominate the Thousand Despair Grounds. Wang Sheng glanced at Zhu Xiaodong and replied reluctantly. Isn't it all because of the man-eating ants? Zhu Xiaodong's voice was very low, but everyone present heard it. He did it on purpose. Bullying the weak. Wang Sheng almost burst out laughing. Bullying the weak? Which vassal state would dare to say that they were weak? How could one person rule over so many vassal states? What a joke. Don't forget, I'm the ever-victorious marquis, personally conferred by the emperor. Wang Sheng slowly gave a reason. So what? Of course, Zhu Xiaodong was not convinced and immediately asked tit for tat. As a marquis, I have my own fief. Wang Sheng did not care how flustered and exasperated Zhu Xiaodong was. He slowly said, Who remembers where my fief is? When everyone heard the word fief, there was a buzz in their heads. Of course, the ever-victorious marquis had his own fief. If everyone remembered correctly, the ever-victorious marquis fief was the Thousand Despair Grounds. In the past, when they heard this news, everyone treated it as a joke. A fief that couldn't be entered. If it wasn't a joke, then what was? But at this moment, when they heard Wang Sheng talk about his fief, they could no longer laugh. The Thousand Despair Grounds was personally conferred to Wang Sheng by the emperor. Therefore, from a legal point of view, the Thousand Despair Grounds belonged to Wang Sheng. Since it was someone else's property, there was no need to talk about bullying the weak. There was also no need to talk about man-eating ants blocking the way. If someone didn't allow you to enter, then it was a matter of course. No one could say a word of objection. Even those vassal states couldn't say anything unless they denied the emperor's reward. But at the same time that they denied the reward to Wang Sheng, it also meant that the legal status of their respective vassal states no longer existed. If you don't recognize the fief that the emperor conferred to Wang Sheng, then will you also not recognize the fief that was given to you? The reason was so strong that when Wang Sheng asked this question, everyone was dumbfounded and didn't know how to answer. This was difficult. Unless the emperor issued an edict to take back Wang Sheng's fief, otherwise, what else was there to talk about? If someone didn't want you to enter their fief, then no one could do anything. Letting you in is a gift. Don't be ungrateful. Do you have any more questions? Wang Sheng didn't seem to intend to let Zhu Xiaodong go. He looked at him calmly and asked, "No, no more." Under Wang Sheng's gaze, Zhu Xiaodong couldn't say another word. He squeezed out a few words and didn't speak anymore. Since everyone is sitting here to talk, then say what you want to say. There's no need to hide it. Wang Sheng blocked Zhu Xiaodong's mouth, looked at the representatives of all parties, and said with a smile, "As long as you admit that the land of thousand despair is mine, then the things inside can be discussed. Come up with a specific rule." Hearing Wang Sheng's words, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The land of thousand despair belonged to Wang Sheng. There was no doubt about this admission. If the things inside could be discussed, then it would be easy to deal with. At worst, all parties would be like the imperial treasury and pay tribute to Wang Sheng. Previously, we talked about the camp of the imperial treasury. Wang Sheng continued. Then let's talk about the camp first. Do you think it's better to expand the size of the camp? Or is it more appropriate to open a few similar camps in all directions? Was there such a good thing? Of course, they were willing to open a few more. Was there a need to ask? All parties were excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. All kinds of arrangements were made to catch Wang Sheng off guard. What was it for? Wasn't it just to get this permission? Wang Sheng was generous, but all parties didn't know what to say. Wang Shengyan was famous for being greedy for money. The first time, he led the way into the land of thousand despair. Why would he let you open a camp so easily? What kind of price would be paid? No one had a unified statement. Maybe whoever spoke first would suffer a loss, and in the end, they would be blamed. The scene was very strange. Everyone wanted Wang Sheng to release the restrictions of the land of thousand despair, but when Wang Sheng really opened his mouth, everyone didn't know what to say. Bao Qing Yu Tang Zhu Xiaodong, who was jumping up and down just now, couldn't even speak a complete sentence at this moment. His eyes were empty, and no one knew what he was thinking. Perhaps at this moment, he realized his position in the eyes of some people. Today, he was like a jumping clown that provoked Wang Sheng, and the ending would not be so beautiful. What do you think? Wang Sheng glanced around again, and then smiled at Lu Wenho. "Brother Lu, why don't you tell us how to deal with the camp?" Chapter 667. LV Wenho stood up with a smile and said loudly, "That camp, I think we should keep it as usual, open to all parties. As for whether you want to build a few new camps, it has nothing to do with this. Maybe with a new camp, my Imperial Treasury's camp can be regarded as another option." The requirement of all parties was that they could open a camp, not that they had to close the Imperial Treasure House's camp. It was nothing more than that they did not want to see the Imperial Treasury monopolize everything. If they really had their own camp, who would care about the Imperial Treasury's camp? As LV Wenho said, maybe it was another option. Those who could not line up in the family could go to this public camp. Without a camp belonging to their own family, many things cannot be done openly. For example, cultivating in the Imperial Treasury's camp, not only must they be careful of the people around them, but they must also be careful not to leak the family's cultivation methods, and so on. There were many inconveniences, so it was much better to have their own camp. New camps can be opened, but the number should be limited. For the time being, we can decide on one for the royal family and one for each vassal state. That should be enough, right? These words were said by LV Wenho to give everyone face, but there must be a limit. It was impossible to say everywhere in the land of thousand despair, right? Does everyone agree with this number? Wang Sheng asked. Yes, yes. How could this group of people not agree? What was the purpose of coming here? Wasn't it for this? What about us merchants? Someone immediately raised another question. The vassal state's request was solved, but what about the big merchants? What do you think? Wang Sheng would not take the initiative to expose his bottom line, so he let these people speak first. It is not impossible for the merchants to open a camp. This time, it was not LV Wenho who answered. He was the representative of the Shang family, so it was not good for him to jump out. It was the representative of Song State who spoke. However, if the Shang family opens a camp, it must be the same as the Imperial Treasury's camp, open to the public and not limited to one family. This was the first time the representatives of the vassal states jumped out to speak. This limit was only good for all parties. There was no harm. The original intention of the Shang family was to see that the Imperial Treasury was making a lot of money, so they also wanted to participate in this business. As long as they could open a camp, of course, they had no objection. The representatives of the vassal states naturally agreed. How could they possibly disagree? With a few more choices, there would be more competition. Merchants would naturally lower the price to a reasonable range, unlike the current Imperial Treasure House camp, which was extremely expensive, and they had to spend because it was a monopoly. What about the quantity? Wang Sheng asked again. There were actually only 5 business representatives present at the scene. There were not many big chains in the country. Imperial Treasury and Baoqing Yutang occupied 2, and the other 3 were slightly smaller, but they were also commercial giants. 5 then. The representative of the Tang family looked at Wang Sheng's expression. It seemed that Wang Sheng didn't have any dissatisfaction, so he was slightly relieved. However, he still asked carefully. Wherever Wang Sheng's gaze fell, everyone nodded in agreement. Yes, yes, the voice persisted. This time, there were more than 20 new camps. Although all parties were very happy to see such a situation, they still had to wait for Wang Sheng to nod. If Wang Sheng did not nod, no matter how many people went in, it would be like sending food to the man-eating ant army. It's okay to build a camp, but for me, the owner of the fief, what compensation is there? Wang Sheng's face didn't show whether he agreed or disagreed, but he asked very pragmatically. Hearing Wang Sheng's question, everyone was happy in their hearts. They were not afraid that Wang Sheng would not ask for benefits. As long as Wang Sheng asked for benefits, it meant that Wang Sheng would allow everyone to enter the place of thousand despair. Once he opened his mouth, it would be much easier to negotiate in the future. Let's take the Imperial Treasury camp as an old example and divide the profits 50-50. How about it? The merchants reacted quickly, and someone immediately proposed this plan. For the merchants, as long as they could make money, and they could also tip Wang Sheng, the gold digger, not to mention 50-50, even if it was 40-30, it would not be a problem. But for the vassal states, it was somewhat inappropriate. The vassal states wanted to settle their own people in the camps, so it would definitely be a pure investment, and there would be no profit. Divide it 50-50 with Wang Sheng. Divide what? Let Wang Sheng lose half of the investment? 50-50 is a bit too high. If so many camps are opened, the profits of all parties will definitely be greatly reduced, not comparable to now. The representative of the Xia family pondered and said, why don't we pay a sum of money to buy the land from Marquis Changsheng in the beginning, and then pay a certain amount of rent every year? After the rent is paid, whether we make a loss or profit depends on the management of all parties. Marquis, what do you think? The ratio of 50-50 was definitely very high. The idea proposed by the representative of the Xia family was also good, and Wang Sheng would definitely be earning for free. However, the place of thousand despair was Wang Sheng's fief, and as the landlord, it was natural for him to collect rent. As for all parties, as long as there was a fixed amount of expenditure, it might be much more suitable in the end than a 50-50 split. Okay, Wang Sheng seemed to be very democratic, not dictatorial at all. As long as all of you agree, I can accept it. However, It's not cheap to buy my land, so you should be mentally prepared. Hearing this, everyone became excited, and they began to give their opinions on the purchase of land and the amount of rent. Mayor also chimed in and argued with everyone. Only a professional like Mayor could haggle over the amount of the price. With the appearance of a professional, all parties also began to argue with each other. After a series of arguments, they finally settled on an amount. For the first time, each party will pay 20 million gold coins for the land. In the future, there will be at least 2 million gold coins for rent every year. Any objections? Wang Sheng took the final result and said to all parties, "Once it's decided, it can't be changed. Now, if you have any objections, you can still raise them." It was originally a figure that all parties and May Air quarreled with, so no one had any objections. Everyone shook their heads. How about this? The Imperial Treasure House has given me a lot of dividends over the years. The Imperial Treasure House will waive the cost of buying the land. In the future, just give me 2 million gold coins every year like everyone else. Since Wang Sheng wanted to deal with it impartially, he had to take care of everyone. Does anyone have any objections to this? Who would have any objections to the deal between Wang Sheng and the Imperial Treasure House and the existing camp? Everyone agreed unanimously again. The place of Thousand Despair was personally granted to me by the Emperor, so I decided to waive the cost of the royal family's first purchase of a land, but the annual rent will be the same. Does anyone object? Wang Sheng asked again. When a representative of the royal family heard this, he was overjoyed. This Chang Sheng Ho really had the Emperor in his heart. Chapter 668. No objections. Who would object? The land of Thousand Despair was bestowed to Wang Sheng by the Emperor. If Wang Sheng were to take the Emperor's money, his reputation would be tarnished. Not to mention that Wang Sheng had only waived the fees for the royal family. Even if Wang Sheng had asked the other parties to share the fees for the Emperor, the other parties would probably have to swallow their pride. This result was pretty good. Everyone voted for it unanimously. Finally, it was time for Wang Sheng to make a decision. Thus, he said, "That was what you guys said earlier. Now, I will say what I mean." Everyone quieted down at Wang Sheng's words. Everything had gone smoothly so far. However, if Wang Sheng were to add to the previous conditions, everyone would have a headache. No one dared to disturb Wang Sheng now, in case Wang Sheng was in a bad mood. Let's talk about the number first. Wang Sheng looked at everyone seriously. Under everyone's expectant gaze, Wang Sheng finally said, "In principle, I agree with this division. However, I want to add 2 more. Hearing that Wang Sheng agreed in principle, everyone relaxed. When Wang Sheng said 2 more, everyone looked at Wang Sheng, waiting for Wang Sheng's explanation. The worry-free city lord has taken good care of me. Therefore, the first house is for him. Wang Sheng had already noticed that the worry-free city did not send a representative. It was probably because the territory was too small. Although it was a vassal state, everyone still thought of it as the worry-free city. Of course, the rules are the same. You have to pay the fees. Wang Sheng looked around. Does anyone object? Object to giving the worry-free city lord benefits? Who was tired of living? The worry-free city was filled with assassins. If news of this were to be leaked out, wouldn't the assassins of the worry-free city swarm over? The Marquis must repay kindness. You have a good character. The representative of the Xia family smiled and gave a thumbs up. Of course we support such a good thing. Who would object? That's right. That's right. Voices of agreement rose and fell. Leave the other one to Qian Xingyuan. Wang Sheng didn't even explain the reason this time. He just said a name and waited for everyone to agree. Who did Qian Xingyuan belong to? Needless to say, it was Wang Sheng's and Madame Mayer's. This was Wang Sheng's own property. Wang Sheng had agreed for each family to open a camp, so he wanted to open one as well. It was a very normal request. At this time, if anyone were to jump out and object, they would definitely be beaten to death on the spot by the representatives. The Marquis must be joking. Of course there's no problem. Of course. There was another series of assent. Send your own experts to choose the site and build your own camps. Wang Sheng said to everyone, I believe that the top experts from all sides can come and go as they please, at least in the periphery of the core area. I won't interfere with that. However, there was one thing. They couldn't fight over a spot inside. The area is big enough, so there's no need to make it unpleasant, right? If any party starts fighting, then don't blame me for being impolite. I'll disqualify them. There's no room for discussion. This rule was actually very welcomed by all parties. They were racing against time to build their camps and seize the profits from the land of thousand despair. Who would want to waste time fighting with others? With this rule, they could avoid a lot of fighting and trouble. Perhaps everyone won a good place, but didn't Chang Shengho also say that the place was big enough and there were plenty of suitable spots? There was no need to be unhappy. Wasting time was a small matter, but if they were disqualified, they wouldn't have a place to cry. Another round of ascent. If you don't want to die, don't enter the core area. Wang Sheng said another few rules. The camp can only be outside the core area. Experts at the peak of the legendary realm can't release their aura. Of course, if any party thinks that their experts can fight against some humanoid beasts, then they can release their aura to provoke them. This was the second time Wang Sheng mentioned the aura of a legendary expert. Everyone was already used to it. However, everyone knew that there were some rules in the land of thousand despair. It was best to listen to Wang Sheng. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know how they died. No one disagreed. The purpose of building a camp was to nurture their experts, not to send them to their deaths. Oh yes, there's someone who makes me very unhappy. At this point, Wang Shengkai seemed to have thought of something and said with a smile, I think everyone should be able to guess who it is that made me very unhappy. Was there a need to guess? Everyone looked at Zhu Xiaodong about Qing Yutang at the same time. Zhu Xiaodong had already calmed down and tried his best to reduce his presence to the minimum. He didn't even make a sound. However, he was still singled out by Wang Sheng. Zhu Xiaodong was about to collapse. He knew very well what would happen to him if Wang Sheng said such words. If he knew this would happen, why would he let himself be manipulated and listen to the guy behind him to provoke Wang Sheng? Now, he was dead meat. I know it's not Bao Qing Yutang's intention. Wang Sheng smiled again and said gently, Moreover, I also know that the person who ordered him to do such a stupid thing is among you. Perhaps he's not here, but he's definitely one of your people. Wang Sheng glanced at all the representatives and said casually, Step forward and pay 5 times the price of the land. We'll pretend this never happened. Of course, if someone knows and points it out, and this Zhu Xiaodong admits to it, the price of the land will be waived. The person who is exposed will have to pay 10 times the price. If no one steps forward and no one knows who ordered him to do it, then everyone will have to pay 10 times the price. Oh yes, there's no conclusion to this matter. However, if he dies, it'll be the same. Everyone will have to pay 10 times the price. Wang Sheng seemed to have thought of something and added another layer of insurance. Those who had a guilty conscience had just thought of killing Zhu Xiaodong, but Wang Sheng said this in the blink of an eye. This time, those who thought they were innocent would definitely protect Zhu Xiaodong tightly and not let anyone succeed in silencing him. The reason why I'm being so unreasonable is because I'm not in a good mood. Wang Sheng looked at the various representatives and said seriously, I think it's still very easy to negotiate, right? If you have any requests, we can sit down and talk. There's bound to be a result. I've never refused to lead the way. If we open a camp, we can discuss it. If there's anything, we can talk about it. If we agree or disagree, we can discuss it. At this point, Wang Sheng's voice suddenly rose. But using this kind of method, what does it mean? Provoking me? Or provoking yourselves? If you do something wrong, you have to be punished. Wang Sheng smiled casually. If you step forward, you'll get 5 times the price. If you're exposed by someone else, you'll get 10 times the price. If you can't find a result, everyone else will get 10 times the price. I'm not joking. If you can't find a result, the agreement just now will be canceled. No one is allowed to enter the grounds of despair. Chapter 669. From Zhu Xiaodong's repeated provocation of Wang Sheng, the representatives of all parties could basically guess that this fool must have been instructed to do such a thing. Otherwise, Why would the benefits that should have belonged to Bao Qing Yutang be given to the imperial treasure house? The latter few questions were almost to force Wang Sheng to agree to some things or explain some things, and some of the words were not easy to say or could not be said by the major vassal states. Previously, everyone thought that Zhu Xiaodong had done a good job. At least he had pushed forward the negotiation process with Wang Sheng. But now, everyone had almost discussed the conditions, and only the last step was left. But Wang Sheng suddenly said such a thing. Did Wang Sheng's words make sense? Yes. At least it was true that Wang Sheng said that everything could be discussed. From leading the way to opening the camp to the present, wasn't it all achieved through discussion? It was easy to explain why Wang Sheng despised those who use such means. As Wang Sheng himself said, there is only one word to describe him. He was not happy. In order to achieve certain goals, who had not used a few means. But these means were quite disgusting, and it was a little embarrassing when it was brought up on the spot. Since everyone was open to discussion, and Wang Sheng had never blocked the window for discussion, it was indeed despicable for him to resort to such methods. This matter must be explained to Wang Sheng. At least those vassal states who did not use such means this time would definitely support it. After all, there were only a few who used such means, one or two at most. But if these one or two families blocked all the ways for everyone, then they could not blame everyone for ganging up on them. Marquis, rest assured, I have a few torture experts under me. Give that guy to me, and I guarantee that he will say everything. Immediately, the representative of the royal family jumped out directly. In this matter, the royal family was open and above board, and Wang Sheng had given the royal family a lot of face, so the royal family jumped out to help. There's no rush. Protect that guy first. The representatives of the Song family did not know the relationship between their princess and Wang Sheng, but at least they had been told to maintain enough respect for Chang Shengho, so they also had a clear conscience and were enthusiastic to help. There were a few experts by his side earlier. Those experts are definitely not Bao Qing Yutang's men. Perhaps they are death warriors from some other family. The Xia family has already arranged for Aki to be by Wang Sheng's side. There is no need for them to do these underhanded things in the dark. At this moment, she is filled with righteous indignation and gives an idea: take those people down first and interrogate them slowly. One force after another jumped out to say that they wanted to help, but not a single one jumped out to admit it. Who could admit it? Even if he really did it, was he supposed to jump out and slap himself in the face on this occasion? Even if you did it, you have to say you didn't do it. Unfortunately, Wang Sheng seems to have already known this result. There's a condition in his words just now. If the culprit is not found, no one can dream of entering the grounds of Thousand Despair. Perhaps it is not the plan of everyone here. Perhaps everyone here is unaware of it, and it is your subordinates or superiors who did it. Wang Sheng said slowly, go back and investigate, but don't tell me that it is Bao Qing Yutang's idea in the end. I'm not a fool. In any case, you can enter the grounds of Thousand Despair when the results are out. As long as you can't find anything, then the status quo will continue. As he said this, Wang Sheng stood up and pulled Meyer out of the room. Someone will have to pay the price for this. If you admitted earlier, you can save your family 100 million gold coins. If it is dug out by others, it will be 200 million gold coins. I am very happy to see no one admit it, and then each family will give me 200 million gold coins. So I'm not in a hurry. You guys take your time to think about it. Leaving these words, Wang Sheng and Mei Er left the venue. There was no way the surrounding guards would stop Wang Sheng and allow him to leave. The second to leave was Lu Wenho of the Imperial Treasury. Before leaving, he also left a sentence. Although this is the territory of my Imperial Treasury, this matter has nothing to do with me. Anyway, in the end, the status quo will be maintained and no one can enter. But my Imperial Treasury already has a camp, so it doesn't matter to me. I will go out and call in a guard from each family. If there is anything, you can order it yourself. Lu Wenho was the head of the family. As soon as the head of the family and Wang Sheng left, the remaining representatives immediately looked at each other. The Royal Song family and the Xia family did not say anything and immediately protected Zhu Xiaodong. Then, they quickly ordered their own guards who came in to listen to the order to mobilize experts to protect him, and at the same time, to arrest the mysterious guards around Zhu Xiaodong. Wang Sheng said that if Zhu Xiaodong died before the investigation was completed, all the forces would pay 10 times the price, and may even be so serious that they would not be able to enter the place of despair. It was not easy to win the present opportunity, and no one was willing to be destroyed by a certain conspiracy. When all parties were already in the midst of the investigation, Wang Sheng and Lu Wenho were sitting face to face and drinking. The craftsman who built the camp in your imperial treasury last time can take a few big jobs and earn a few votes this time. Wang Sheng waived the cost of the imperial treasury, but did not win much direct benefits for them. He could only indirectly remind them, hoard more construction materials, and sell them at a good price. Lu Wenho was a good businessman. With a little reminder, he knew what to do. He immediately gestured to Ling next to him. Ling immediately got up and went to the back to instruct people to prepare. At this moment, all the families could not wait to complete the construction of their camps as soon as possible. The skilled craftsmen who built the camp in the imperial treasury last time were definitely in short supply. All kinds of materials could be directly sold at double the price. It was a race against time. Who would care about spending a few more gold coins? Bao Qing Yutang sighed. Are you really going to give me the business? Watching Ling busy, Lu Wenho turned to Wang Sheng and asked with a smile. Although he asked Wang Sheng, Lu Wenho's eyes were looking at Mei. Of course, he knew the relationship between Mei and Bao Qing Yutang. If it weren't for Mei, Wang Sheng would not have paid attention to Bao Qing Yutang. You can't blame me for not disciplining your son, Wang Sheng said lightly. He made a few mistakes, and I'm willing to give him a chance. But since he can't even discipline his son and still brought him out to show off, then don't blame me. Anyway, I didn't provoke this matter, so it can't be blamed on me. Your move is really ruthless. The mastermind behind it must be hated by all parties. Bao Qing Yutang will definitely be irreconcilable with them in the future. There will be a good show to watch. Lu Wenho sighed. I say the mastermind behind it really doesn't know what to do. What good will it do them? Chapter 670. Cleverness can be misled by cleverness. Wang Xing took a mouthful of food from the chopsticks that Mayer had brought to his mouth and replied casually, I'm used to using tricks to do things. There was one time when I didn't feel comfortable not using it. I always felt that I couldn't achieve my goal without using some tricks. LV Wenho nodded. There were many such people in the world. Perhaps they were born dark, but they always liked to play tricks. Unfortunately, this time they met Wang Sheng. It's a small lesson to let them know the consequences of playing tricks on me. Wang Sheng smiled and explained, in the future, they will learn to be obedient. If there is something, they can come to me and discuss it. It's better than me guarding against villains every day. LV Wenho gave a thumbs up. He believed that this was the reason why Wang Sheng wanted to do this. Using hundreds of millions of gold coins to teach some people how to behave would indeed leave a deep impression on others. If there is something to talk about, why did he have to use such means? In the end, he had to pay a much more expensive price than normal means. After a few more times, as long as one was a person, they would know how to choose, right? In terms of Wang Sheng's understanding, this was called increasing the cost of those people, using conspiracies, and increasing the cost of crime. When the cost was far higher than the benefit, they would take the initiative to stop. LV Wenho accompanied Wang Sheng for a while and then left. He was the master, and he needed to take care of many things. It was good enough that he could accompany Wang Sheng for a while. After LV Wenho left, Mer leaned on Wang Sheng's side, holding Wang Sheng's arm, and put her face on Wang Sheng's arm. She said happily, Thank you. There's no need to say these two words between us, right? Wang Sheng smiled and looked down at Mei and said dotingly, Anyway, I want to thank you. Mei tightened her arm and got closer to Wang Sheng. Because of Zhu Xiaodong's relationship, Wang Sheng gave a cooperation opportunity that should have been given to Bao Qing Yutang to the Imperial Treasure House, but did not close the door to all cooperation. This time around, Wang Sheng had given every single merchant a chance at the Thousand Despair Grounds. In fact, Mayer was very clear that he was secretly taking care of Bao Qing Yutang. He believed that with this camp, Bao Qing Yutang would still be able to maintain his position as the leader under the leadership of Old Master Zhu. As long as he could recover his strength, Bao Qing Yutang would be able to take the lead in many industries and recover slowly. Bao Qing Yutang's biggest problem was to find a suitable successor. He believed that after this incident, Old Master Zhu would definitely see things clearly and would never choose Zhu Xiaodong again. Of course, even if he wanted to choose, it would probably be impossible. Wang Xing only said that he wanted that guy alive before the investigation, but he didn't say what would happen afterward. After insulting Mayer, did he still want to live? Even if Wang Sheng didn't take the initiative, would the force that lost 10 times the cost easily let Zhu Xiaodong go? I really want to see the face of the instigator now. Mayer also understood that Zhu Xiaodong was instigated by someone. She now wanted to see how embarrassed the guy standing behind Zhu Xiaodong would be. It was indeed very uncomfortable, or to be exact, the instigator was now simply uncomfortable to death. After the news came back from the front representatives, he wanted to explode, but he didn't know how to do it. He could only suppress all his anger and began to think about how to solve the problem. He couldn't hide it for long. In order to guarantee Zhu Xiaodong's safety, he even sent a few death soldiers to that idiot. What's more, if he wanted Zhu Xiaodong to go all out and offend a powerful person like Wang Sheng, it was impossible not to give Zhu Xiaodong enough guarantees. As long as those people interrogated Zhu Xiaodong, they would soon get the answer. It was a pity that the death soldiers who were originally arranged as guards were used to silence the witness. As a result, the venue arranged by the Imperial Treasure House made it impossible for them to enter at all. No matter how good the arrangement was, it was useless. If he had known that Wang Sheng was really so negotiable, why did he have to do this? The representative in the venue didn't know, so he didn't know that it was his family's arrangement. This was troublesome. If he was at the venue at that time, he would definitely stand up and take the initiative to admit it. It was not a shameful thing to use a little trick, but he didn't admit it on the spot. If it was dug out, his family would lose 200 million gold coins, and he would be hostile to other parties. The loss outweighed the gain. If he had known it would be like this, alas, it was too late to say anything. While the instigator was very annoyed, on the one hand, he was thinking about how to deal with the aftermath. On the other hand, he was also wondering whether the loss could be recovered from Zhu Xiaodong. Still according to the original plan to help Zhu Xiaodong to the position of Bao Qing Yutang, and then let Bao Qing Yutang make up for his loss. But now that this thing happened, Bao Qing Yutang would definitely be on guard. Whether Zhu Xiaodong could return to Bao Qing Yutang was a problem, and it was even more difficult to take out the gold coins from Bao Qing Yutang. With such a big loss, when he returned to the family, he didn't know how those people in the family would target him. It was a waste of effort, a waste of effort. Come, send a letter to Master Liu in the venue, and admit this matter. Since it was impossible to escape the investigation, why not admit it openly? If he had known it would be like this, he would have told the truth to the person in the venue, or simply participated in the meeting. Wasn't it because he felt that this kind of bargaining situation might not be pleasant, and it would take 2 or 3 days to finalize? At the end, he could just participate in the final decision, and the credit would still be his. Who would have thought that Wang Sheng didn't procrastinate at all, and nodded without saying anything after discussing the conditions? This was too straightforward, wasn't it? Several benefits didn't catch up with him, and instead, bad things piled up in a basket. What an unlucky year. People say that blessings don't come in pairs, and misfortunes don't come alone, and it was indeed true. Before the letter was sent to the venue, all parties had already gathered and dug out the answer from Zhu Xiaodong, the few death warriors, and a group of arranged people. It was actually done by the Qiu family. According to reason, the Qiu family had a good cooperation with Wang Sheng before and almost never had a conflict. This matter was very likely to be done by the Shi family, Dai family, or even the Gan family, but it was the Qiu family that didn't take the initiative to conflict with Wang Sheng. It really made people speechless. After the Chiu family's representative learned the truth, he was directly dumbfounded. How could this be? Just as he was dumbfounded for a moment, his superior sent someone to send a letter, asking him to take the initiative to admit it. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. It would have been fine if the messenger had come a few steps earlier. He had to appear when the people behind the scenes had already dug out the mastermind. The representative at the venue didn't know how to face the angry and contemptuous eyes of all parties. He was really wronged. He was completely taking the blame for someone else, but he couldn't go back and say this to his superior. This kind of depressed feeling could really drive people crazy. Send the gold coins to Chang Sheng Ho's mansion in the capital, and you can arrange people to enter the land of 1,000 despair. Wang Sheng had also received the news and sent someone to send a message. The Chiu family will pay 10 times the land price. The Song family, who contributed the most in the investigation, will be exempted from buying the land. Chapter 671. Except for the Chiu family, everyone else was happy. Even the Chiu family got the promise of entering the land of 1,000 despair to build a camp. The only thing they were unhappy about was that the price was a little high, 10 times that of others. For the Chiu family, which had been passed down for centuries, it was nothing more than a matter of gold coins. It was not that they couldn't afford to pay 10 times the price. But this matter was indeed infuriating. If they wanted to get angry, they couldn't blame Wang Sheng. It was not that Wang Sheng was difficult to serve and there was no way to negotiate with him, but the Chiu family thought too much of him. They reaped what they sowed. Who could they blame? Now the only thing the Chiu family could do was to find a target to vent their anger on. It was definitely impossible to find Wang Sheng, and other families would not allow them to make a move on Wang Sheng. It seemed that they could only find the guy who made Wang Sheng unhappy and tear him into pieces to vent their anger. No one knew the real purpose of Wang Sheng. Everyone just thought that Wang Sheng felt that it was not good to eat alone, so he gave up this part of the benefits. In any case, the core of the land of 1,000 despair was still indispensable to Wang Sheng, and Wang Sheng could still seize a lot of benefits. What Wang Sheng saw was that the families, driven by the interests of the land of 1,000 despair, madly invested manpower to build the camp. The more the land of 1,000 despair was developed, the closer it was to unravel the secret of the core of the land of 1,000 despair, which also meant that Wang Sheng could meet the girl of his dreams sooner. Dig out the entire core of the land of 1,000 despair? That was not something that Wang Sheng could do alone. Now, when the camp was built and more masters were trained, all parties would be willing to invest in the development of the core of the land of 1,000 despair. Not only did Wang Sheng earn money, but he also earned a large number of free laborers, and they were all masters. All parties were anxious to go back to deal with the important matters of the camp. Even the Shi family and the Gan family did not continue to entangle themselves in the matters of the core of the land of 1,000 despair. After hurriedly apologizing to Wang Sheng, the two also hurried back to their respective families. The Imperial Treasure House got a promise from Wang Sheng that they could cooperate in a business. As for the specific cooperation, LV Wenho and the shopkeepers of the Imperial Treasure House would carefully study it. This was such a great opportunity, and he couldn't waste it so easily. Wang Sheng and Meyer were on their way back to the capital. According to Wang Sheng's explanation, he needed to rest for a month or two after entering the core of the grounds of 1,000 despair. Wang Sheng wasn't trying to fool everyone. Apart from Wang Sheng, Tang Laowu, who had followed Wang Sheng into the land of 1,000 extremities for the first time, had been recuperating at home for the past 6 months. It was said that the red card assassin had been recuperating for a full 3 months, while Wang Sheng only needed a month to recover. This was already considered good for a young person with a good foundation. Of course, this had something to do with Wang Sheng spending a lot of gold coins to make his marquee residence and Carefree City's residence look like a cultivation saint. Sometimes, a large amount of gold coins could be useful enough. His cultivation level was still too low. Although in the core of the grounds of 1,000 despair, Wang Sheng relied on a giant bear to reverse the situation, forcing the leader of the Shi family to kill his own people, but Wang Sheng knew that it was really a dangerous situation at that time. 10 experts at the peak of the legendary realm, plus 2 8-stage experts, if the 12 opponents worked together and were determined to take down Wang Sheng might not have been able to escape. There was indeed a giant bear and a demon fox at the scene, but that was all there was to it. 2 demon beasts and Wang Sheng were definitely not the opponents of 12 experts. Fortunately, they were frightened. Otherwise, Wang Sheng wouldn't be able to sit in Tongxing City and discuss with the representatives of the various vassal states. Back in the capital, Wang Sheng must improve his cultivation again. Otherwise, if he encountered similar things again, Wang Sheng would definitely be in trouble. A person could not always be lucky. He needed to prepare early and prepare for a rainy day. On the way, the guards from the Laojun Temple were very responsible, knowing that Wang Sheng was likely to be retaliated by the Qiu family. So the security was very tight, carefully escorting Wang Sheng and Mayor all the way to the capital. Until they returned to the Marquis residence, these guards heaved a sigh of relief. At the Marquis residence, there were more guards, and the various protective formations were almost comparable to the Imperial Palace, so naturally it would be safe. This is the feeling of home. As soon as they returned to the Marquis residence, Wang Sheng immediately enjoyed the service that Mayor had arranged, comparable to the service in the Imperial Palace. After sighing, Wang Sheng asked Mayor, "How did you think of this?" Even Bao Qing Yutang probably doesn't have this level of enjoyment. It wasn't that Wang Sheng was surprised, but the kind of meticulous arrangement that almost every little detail was taken into consideration, especially gave people a feeling of incomparable respect. After returning home, he took a short rest, took a bath, and put on casual clothes to cool off in the backyard. In this process, Wang Sheng saw at least 30 different maids. Wang Sheng had never been so extravagant. The bath water was prepared early, and he didn't even need to take off his clothes himself. As soon as he walked into the bath, those maids who only wore thin gauze just now accompanied Wang Sheng into the bath. They cleaned and massaged him, the professional old Taoist, making him feel so comfortable that he wished he could fall asleep in the bath. There were people waiting on him at the side, and when they saw that Wang Sheng was thirsty, they immediately sent the right amount of fragrant tea to his mouth. Wang Sheng didn't even need to lift his hand. He only needed to open his mouth, especially the maids who accompanied him in the bath. Looking at their posture, Wang Sheng could be as licentious and immoral as he wanted. Unfortunately, the little eyes that were looking forward to the Marquis's favor met with Wang Sheng, who was worse than a beast. He just enjoyed the hands of the maids for a while, and then got up. A few dry maids wiped and combed Wang Sheng's hair, changed into casual clothes, cleaned his nails, and cleaned his ears. There was even one who brushed Wang Sheng's teeth. All the maids were young and beautiful, and they seemed to have a certain cultivation foundation. Their figures were completely in line with Wang Sheng's aesthetic standards, with long legs, thin waists, and big breasts. He didn't know how long it took Mayer to carefully select them. Different exquisite faces matched with different exquisite makeup, making Wang Sheng feel like he had returned to the kingdom of fragrance when he returned to the Marquis's mansion. Among the many maids, Wang Sheng especially noticed a few beautiful maids who were a little further away. They didn't participate in the work of serving Wang Sheng, but the intuition of a soldier made Wang Sheng instantly notice them. Their cultivation was much higher than that of ordinary maids, and some of them were even in the 6th or 7th degree realm. There was no need to ask. These must be the female guards that Mayer had arranged for him. Wang Sheng had no doubt that as long as he beckoned these female guards with his finger, they would definitely be willing to play all kinds of tricks with him. He really didn't know where Mayer found these experts from. He just didn't know how loyal they were, but this needed time to slowly test. Just when Mayer was about to answer Wang Sheng's question, Steward Wang ran over and reported a message from Wang Sheng. The opposite residence, official Su, had asked the Marquis to visit him early tomorrow morning. Chapter 672. The Son of Heaven was looking for him. He must have heard about what happened in Tongxing City and knew that he was back, so he wanted to ask about the details. He would go over tomorrow. He would let Steward Wang reply to the other party. However, Mayer did not answer Wang Sheng's question. When Wang Sheng looked over again, Mayer was already holding a cup of tea that she personally brewed and placed it in front of Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng wanted to take it, but Mayer did not let go. She wanted Wang Sheng to drink the tea in her hand. Wang Sheng was helpless. He could only take a sip and smiled at Mayer. I learned it from Annie Sue. Seeing Wang Sheng drink the tea in her hand, Mayer replied with a smile, "There are many things that I don't understand, but I will learn." I knew it. Wang Sheng had an as expected expression. What did the son of heaven's wife want to do? To teach Mayer how to be pampered? To bring the imperial palace's style to the Marquis's mansion? Be careful. Wang Sheng gave a simple reminder. When he looked at Mayer's eyes again, Wang Sheng had a little bit of inquiry in them. Were these beauties he found loyal enough? Would they threaten Mayer's safety? Mayer understood Wang Sheng's meaning. She was very happy that Wang Sheng was concerned about her safety. These people were indeed found by Aunt Sue, but they had all made a source spirit oath in front of Mayer that they would only be loyal to her. The Marquis's mansion had changed a lot. It was all managed by Mayer when Wang Sheng was not here. The biggest change was the spiritual energy. It should have been modified by the array. It was more effective than the original array. When people stayed in it, they felt that their breath was sweet. There were more people, and they were divided into the inner and outer courtyards. The guards of the Laoju Monastery were all in the outer courtyard, guarding the outside like an iron bucket. There were also experts in the inner courtyard, but they were not directly in front of the crowd. Instead, they were stationed in a few relatively taller corner towers. Of course, there were more female guards and maids in the inner courtyard. No matter how the battle turned out, it was still very pleasing to the eye. The manor also had its own rules. Steward Wang was in charge of all the chores inside and outside, serving the Marquis and Madam. The accountant was Mayer's personal staff. There is a unified standard for all kinds of duties and expenses, and it was completely a big and orderly mansion. Many of the positions had official duties. This was the title of Ever-Victorious Marquis, which was personally conferred by the Emperor. Some of the positions in the Marquis's residence were official positions recognized by the imperial court, and they had to receive salaries from the imperial court. Of course, the imperial court would definitely not pay for this. It could only be borne by the house of the Marquis. Wang Sheng was very satisfied after sensing the massive and complicated but orderly changes in the house of the Marquis. Mayer did not dare to say anything else, but at least she had a way with business and family management. Wang Sheng only needed to give her some pointers, and she would be able to achieve the effect he wanted. Using modern words to describe it, she had strong management skills and outstanding execution. After resting for a night, the next morning, Wang Sheng brought Mayer to visit Lord Su, who lived opposite. As usual, after Mayer paid her respects to Uncle Su, she went straight to the inner courtyard to look for Annie Su. Wang Sheng, the Emperor, and Steward Zhou were left in front. They found a cool and comfortable place in the courtyard and set up a table to drink some home-cooked wine. The dishes to go with the wine this time were not ordinary. They were not made by the Emperor's imperial chefs, but by the chefs in Wang Sheng's Marquis's residence. They were made by Wang Sheng under the guidance of Wang Sheng. The wine was known as the best wine in the capital, but the taste was a little bland. The alcohol content was not high enough, and it was a little turbid. However, this was already a fine wine that could enter the Emperor's mouth. After clinking a cup of wine and putting down the wine cup, the Emperor's mouth could not stop. He ate a few mouthfuls before stopping and giving a thumbs up to Wang Sheng. After being used to eating the cooking methods of the imperial chefs, he suddenly tasted the home-cooked dishes personally made by Wang Sheng. It was refreshing and enjoyable. Stopping after only a few mouthfuls was already the Emperor's excellent self-control. After drinking for a while, the Emperor signaled Steward Zhou with his eyes. Steward Zhou understood and immediately activated some kind of technique to block out the surrounding sound. Congratulations, Steward Zhou. At this time, Wang Sheng cupped his hands and congratulated Steward Zhou. It seems like your cultivation has improved again. Thanks to you. Steward Zhou also returned the greeting with a face full of joy. After entering the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair, he realized that he was a frog at the bottom of a well. After a change in his state of mind, his cultivation had improved again in just a few months. It was not only Steward Joe who improved. Manager Lee and old eunuch Shin also improved. Originally, they thought that they had reached the peak. After rushing to the peak of the legendary realm in just a few years, there was no more room for improvement. In the end, when they faced that humanoid beast, they realized how shallow their knowledge was and how laughable their cultivation was. After coming back, all of them actually improved. However, it was just an improvement and not to the point of breaking through. This made the three of them very confused. Could it be that there was a huge gap in the legendary realm? It was obvious that their cultivation was not the same as before they entered, but why did it not improve in quality? They were very confused, but they were also very grateful to Wang Sheng. If Wang Sheng hadn't brought them in, they wouldn't have been able to experience such a thing. At the same time, this was also Wang Sheng's goodwill to the emperor. At least the emperor was happy to see such a situation. This time, the three of them have to thank you. The emperor said the word of thanks on behalf of Steward Joe, and then he also thanked Wang Sheng. In addition, regarding the campsite of the grounds of Thousand Despair, we still have to thank you. Wang Sheng did waive the cost of buying the land in the grounds of Thousand Despair. Although 20 million gold coins was not a big deal to the emperor, it was still a big favor, wasn't it? After exchanging a few polite words with the emperor, they drank again. After a while, the emperor slowly opened his mouth. These years, the feudal vassals have many experts under them, unlike the royal family, who only have the three of them. Wang Sheng listened quietly and did not reply. He knew that this should be the reason why the emperor looked for him, so he just listened. With the campsite of the grounds of Thousand Despair, the strength of the feudal vassals will increase. The emperor finally expressed his concern. Even if the royal family has their own campsite, they are still lacking in the number of experts. When the feudal vassals become stronger, will they? Needless to say, Wang Sheng knew that it would definitely threaten the royal family's position. From Wang Sheng's point of view, the emperor's worry was definitely unnecessary for the time being. But in the long run, it was a different matter. People who did not think far ahead would have immediate worries, and with worries, one would not slack off. There is a way to slightly stop the development of the feudal vassals. Wang Sheng also hesitated for a moment and said with some uncertainty, "But I don't know if it will lead to the destruction of the people, and even if it succeeds, it may not achieve the effect you want." When the emperor heard this, he immediately became spirited and excitedly said to Wang Sheng, "Tell me about it." Chapter 673. Let me ask you a question first. Think about it, because I also don't know the result. Wang Sheng didn't directly say his thoughts, but asked the Son of Heaven instead, if there is a chance to annex a vassal state, how many benefits would there be? Annex a vassal state? The Son of Heaven's eyes widened and almost blurted out, "How is that possible?" Fortunately, he managed to control himself and didn't shout out. Steward Zhou also looked like he saw a ghost. Wang Sheng suddenly brought up such a high-level topic, which made people a loss. They didn't even have the time to prepare and were caught off guard. "You're not joking?" The Son of Heaven stared at Wang Sheng's face and asked seriously. Wang Sheng nodded seriously. The Son of Heaven began to ponder excitedly. Since Wang Sheng said it so seriously, there must be a possibility. Since he knew Wang Sheng didn't seem to say anything false. It could be said that he was a man of his words. If he said there was a possibility of annexing a vassal state, then there must be a possibility. If he could annex a vassal state, the Son of Heaven couldn't help but be excited. If he could annex a vassal state, no matter big or small, the population would increase, the territory would increase, the output would increase, and the Son of Heaven's voice would spread to more places. The influence of the court, the placement of officials, the education of the people, the army, and so on, all kinds of benefits would come one after another, making the Son of Heaven tremble with excitement. It's just a possibility. It might not succeed. Don't be so excited. Wang Sheng's voice was like a bucket of cold water poured on the son of heaven's head. That's right. It's just a possibility. What am I excited about? However, just a possibility was enough to make me excited. There's a high possibility that one of the vassal states will take the biggest share. When it comes to the court, there will only be some small benefits. Maybe you will even have to confer a duke. Wang Sheng continued to remind him. If the Son of Heaven was in this state, it would affect his judgment. At this time, what Wang Sheng wanted was a calm and wise emperor, one who could calmly analyze the pros and cons of all kinds of situations, not a feverish emperor who was so excited that he wanted to unify the world in the next moment. Unless you have the confidence to destroy a family of feudal vassals by yourself, and then be able to withstand the subsequent siege of all the feudal vassals. A circle of sweat appeared on Tianzi's head, and Tianzi himself was shocked. If they could really destroy any of the feudal vassals, would the royal family still need to be puppets? Wasn't it because his strength was inferior to that group of bastards? So he had no choice but to be controlled and confined to a remote corner of the capital? Don't think of yourself as the Son of Heaven. After a brief pondering, Wang Sheng hinted, think of yourself as a feudal vassal. If there's an opportunity to annex other vassal states, won't you be tempted? Would you make a move? Is it worthwhile to get and lose? You are the Son of Heaven. You have more considerations in this aspect. Help me weigh the pros and cons. Of course, you still have to return to your identity as the Son of Heaven and weigh the other side. To let the Son of Heaven think from the perspective of a feudal vassal, he had to let the Son of Heaven think from his own position. If there's one or a few feudal vassals that destroy another vassal state, what would be the best for you to do? This time, after listening to Wang Sheng's words, the Son of Heaven rubbed his chin and frowned as he began to ponder. As for Steward Zhou, he no longer dared to think about this kind of problem. He only lowered his head slightly and served his master well, ensuring that the voices here would not be heard by a fourth person. If there's such an opportunity, of course, I won't let it go. After pondering for a long time, the Son of Heaven raised his head and said, don't even talk about destroying a state to be able to swallow the other party whole. The benefits are so great that even if I'm watching from the side, I wouldn't dare to stop it. Blocking one's path to wealth is like killing one's parents, not to mention this kind of war to destroy a country. In the past, those people could let their families continue for hundreds or thousands of years just by destroying a few families, not to mention destroying a country. The Son of Heaven's face was full of desire, but he also knew that this was the benefit of a certain vassal state, not his own. Tell me about your opportunity. Let's see if there's a chance for us. The Son of Heaven began to urge Wang Sheng. At this time, he subconsciously addressed Wang Sheng as us, as if he really treated Wang Sheng as one of his own. When Wang Sheng heard this form of address, his eyes inadvertently glanced at the Son of Heaven. He did not know if the Son of Heaven was sincere or intentional, but having this kind of attitude was still good. Right now, all parties want to enter the ground of Thousand Despair to build a camp and seize the first opportunity. At this time, Wang Sheng did not hide his thoughts and said his own thoughts, but entering the ground of Thousand Despair requires a large number of experts. Don't think that there are many experts now. In order to ensure that nothing goes wrong during the construction process, it will be troublesome if there is a lack of manpower. The Son of Heaven nodded. He had been worried about how to build the camp in the ground of Thousand Despair. Fortunately, the Son of Heaven did not want to appear to be in a hurry, lest it would attract the attention of the vassal states. Therefore, the construction process would be slightly slower and there would be fewer people in the early stages. However, the Son of Heaven did not want to go overboard, but it did not mean that the vassal states would not fight for it. In order to seize the first opportunity, there may be a few vassal states with weaker foundations that will send their own experts in. Wang Sheng continued, but experts do not appear out of thin air. If there are more people going there, there will be less people staying at home to look after the home. Moreover, the environment of the ground of Thousand Despair is special. Even messenger birds are unable to transmit messages. Even if something happens between the two sides, They will not know each other in a short period of time. This is our chance. The Son of Heaven's eyes lit up. He immediately understood what Wang Sheng was thinking. He immediately realized his mistake and quickly corrected himself. This is the opportunity for the other vassal states. Since all the experts were sent to the ground of Thousand Despair, the interior would naturally be empty. At this time, if other experts were to take advantage of the situation, as long as the plan was meticulous, they might be able to catch all the people in the capital in one fell swoop. As long as they had the heart and the vassal state was strong enough, swallowing a small vassal state would not be a problem. At that time, they could turn around and catch all the experts who built the camp in the ground of Thousand Despair. Who would dare to say half a word? If it really came to that, the Son of Heaven could only watch helplessly. But just now, Wang Sheng said that there should be benefits from the Son of Heaven. Where could they find this? There must be a reason to destroy a country, right? Wang Sheng laughed. Disrespecting the Son of Heaven's orders or disrespecting the Son of Heaven, right? The vassal states are acting on behalf of the Son of Heaven. It is perfectly justifiable, isn't it? The Son of Heaven instantly understood what Wang Sheng meant. Since the other party wanted to use the name of the Son of Heaven, they had to give him benefits. When the time came, the Son of Heaven would have to pay a duke because the other party had helped the Son of Heaven to vent his anger. For this matter, the Son of Heaven could still pretend to be a puppet. It would let others see a weak Son of Heaven who was at the mercy of the vassal states. Chapter 674. But there are a few problems. The Emperor thought about the benefits and began to think about the details of implementation. Wang Sheng gestured for the Emperor to ask questions. For now, the benefits of the ground of Thousand Despair are only stimulating the cultivation of experts and the good herbs you mentioned last time. The Emperor calmed down and began to ask questions one by one. This is not enough for the small feudal vassals to bet all their assets and transfer most of the experts away. How do we do this? Give them enough temptation. Wang Sheng said calmly. What temptation? This time, it was Steward Zhou who asked. Every time the Emperor asked, it would seem that he was always obsessed with these benefits, and it would be a little embarrassing. However, Steward Zhou did not have this problem. After I rest for a while, I will enter the ground of Thousand Despair again. Wang Sheng smiled. When I come out, I plan to draw a map of the core area of the ground of Thousand Despair and sell it to the families. Is this temptation enough? What was in the core area of the ground of Thousand Despair? The Emperor felt that Wang Sheng might not know as much as he did. If there was a complete map of the ground of Thousand Despair, the Emperor felt that if he was 10 years younger, he would definitely not be able to resist the urge to rush in immediately. Wang Sheng's selling of the map was definitely not an exclusive business, which meant that everyone would have a chance. This way, whoever built their camp first would have the opportunity to train a few experts and even have the opportunity to enter the core area earlier. If there were a few people around the small feudal vassal state who instigated them, it was not impossible for them to be hot-headed and fight to be the first. As long as a small state sent out a large number of experts, the other big states would have a chance. This matter still depended on the operation. It did not mean that the camp would be the first to enter the core area of the ground of Thousand Despair. The big states that were sitting on the fishing platform could watch the small states jump around first and then slowly take care of them. In the future, even the whole country would be mine. How could I give the benefits to others? To understand the thoughts of the feudal vassals, the Emperor only needed to think of himself as a feudal vassal. These years, the Emperor had made many such deductions and guesses. Suddenly, he found it difficult to resist such temptation. What if the small states blocked the news and the big states did not know? Steward Zhou asked again. He also began to think about the details. What are the secret agents of the royal family doing? Wang Sheng bluntly pointed out. If they don't know, won't they accidentally tell them? Of course, you guys have to plan carefully behind the scenes. Don't let anyone know that you're involved in this matter. It's best to dress up as innocent, weak, and non-threatening. Take off your disguise and show the enemy that you're weak. Okay? He has been showing weakness for hundreds of years. It's a skill passed down in his family. How could he not know? Tianzi suddenly replied with a bitter smile. His face was filled with an irrepressible loneliness and excitement. It's good that you have the spirit of finding joy in hardship. At least it shows that you still have great ambitions, don't you? Wang Sheng smiled and gave some comforting words. That's right, finding joy in the midst of suffering. Tianzi was very happy. Then he asked seriously, if they were not tempted by your map, what would happen? Same here. Wang Sheng quickly replied. If they were not tempted, then they would send a small number of people into the Thousand Despair grounds. Most of the experts would stay in their base. In this case, the number of people inside would be small. Who knows, they might be swallowed up by some big forces. Tianzi suddenly understood. I understand now. Those small countries should not participate in this game. No matter which side they value, the other side will always be empty and will always be taken advantage of. Even if they kill their experts in the Thousand Despair grounds to weaken their strength, as long as someone meets them, they will definitely be willing to do so. Yes. Wang Xing nodded. Actually, it's a small game of which side to value. If you take care of one side, you won't be able to take care of the other. However, they felt that they had a chance and spent 20 million gold coins to buy a qualification from me. The gold coins have already been spent. Could it be that if they don't go in, I'll be the only one benefiting? In the end, they have to make a difficult decision. That's right. Tianzi's gaze became more and more profound. It was as if he could see the distant future. If a small country is annexed and the benefits are seen by other vassal states, then the other small countries will inevitably become nervous. In this way, all parties will be on guard against each other. Who knows, there might even be a big fight. Whether it's annexation or annihilation, both sides will suffer losses. Wang Sheng sighed and said, if the royal family operates properly and adds fuel to the fire in the dark, they might be able to get a lot of benefits without paying anything. But what? Tianzi hurriedly asked. No matter how they fight, in theory, it's your country and your people. If war breaks out everywhere, the people will be in misery and suffering. The people may become homeless and homeless. Do you have the heart to do that? Wang Sheng glanced at Tianzi and asked. Ha ha ha. Tianzi looked at Wang Sheng and suddenly laughed wildly. After laughing for a while, he said with a smile, my people, my country. Ha ha ha. Marquis Changsheng, your joke is really funny. If they don't become chaotic, how can we have a chance? Tianzi finally stopped laughing and calmed down. He slowly said, the royal family has endured for hundreds of years. They have been controlled like clowns for hundreds of years. It's not easy to have a chance to let them taste the feeling of being schemed against. Do you think I have the heart to do that? I can only think of so much. I'm not good at how to do it to maximize your benefits. Wang Sheng looked at Tianzi and no longer participated in it. I believe that you, in your confidence, can discuss a comprehensive plan. I won't participate. Keep it a secret. Otherwise, no one can save you. Tianzi nodded. He knew that there were some things that Wang Sheng couldn't participate in deeply. For her to give him such an idea, it was already because he had always taken care of Mei Er. As for keeping a secret, the royal family had operated for hundreds of years in the capital. There are always a few trusted confidants. It's best not to hurt the innocent. In the end, you still have to rely on the people to take back the world. Wang Sheng warned Tianzi. Don't go too far. I know what I'm doing. Tianzi had regained the demeanor of an emperor. The excitement just now had been thrown beyond the clouds. However, his eyes were already bright like the stars in the night sky. After the business was done, everyone could talk about some romance. This is the information about the innate charming bones that Chief Stewardly promised you last time. Steward Zhou took out a big scroll and handed it to Wang Sheng. If there's anything else you need, just say it. Chapter 675. You want this? Is it because of Mei Er? Chief Stewardly must have reported this to Tianzi. Otherwise, Steward Zhou wouldn't give the information to Wang Sheng in front of Tianzi. Seeing that Wang Sheng had kept the scroll, the Son of Heaven asked. Of course, Wang Sheng smiled. Otherwise, who else would I do it for? If it's because of me? Tianzi suddenly smiled. I'm afraid you will be very sad after reading this information. Wang Sheng was stunned. Sad? Why? Well, he looked at the Son of Heaven. The Son of Heaven simply smiled mysteriously and did not reply. This left Wang Sheng confused. Then, he turned to Steward Zhou. Steward Zhou also had a mysterious smile on his face, but he didn't say anything. This made Wang Sheng very uncomfortable. Oh yeah, Wang Sheng thought of something. Since Tianzi was here, Wang Sheng also brought it up. There is one more thing that I really need your help with. Say it, what is it? It was rare for Wang Sheng to ask Tianzi for help. Tianzi immediately let Wang Sheng make the request himself. If there are any singers or musicians in the palace, lend them to me for 2 months. Wang Sheng wasn't polite and directly asked Tianzi for the person. I want the best kind, the kind that can sing and play both elegant and vulgar songs. You want singers? Do you want beautiful ones? Tianzi's gaze was obviously not right. He looked at Wang Sheng and seemed to be questioning. Do you want me to find you a few beautiful dancers? What are you planning to do? Of course, to listen to music. What else can I do? Wang Sheng rolled his eyes at Tianzi and followed his words. What you said makes sense. All of them must be beautiful. If they're dancers, send them over too. I haven't seen many dances yet. Does the Marquis have other intentions? The Emperor was panting with rage and did not speak. He was angered by Wang Sheng's request. Steward Zhou tried to smooth things over. Miss Mayer has been looking for musicians and singers for Master Ho. She has also been looking for all kinds of songs. Could it be that Master Ho has a use for them? Of course, Wang Sheng quickly admitted. It's used for cultivation. There were many eyes and ears of the Son of Heaven in the Ho Fu. Whether or not Wang Sheng touched these women, the Son of Heaven was very clear. He was just very unhappy with Wang Sheng's attitude. Now that he heard that Wang Sheng was actually using it for cultivation, he immediately became interested and listened attentively. Marquis' cultivation method is so special. Steward Zhou saw that the Emperor was interested and asked. As for Wang Sheng's cultivation technique, Steward Zhou didn't care about it all. Everyone knew that Wang Sheng didn't have many acupuncture points. It was already not bad that his source spirit could increase. But since the Son of Heaven liked it, there was no harm in asking. It has nothing to do with the cultivation technique. Wang Sheng wasn't afraid that Steward Zhou and the others would know the truth. Moreover, they didn't even know. It's the problem of the source spirit. When my source spirit increased, it strengthened my senses, sight, taste, and smell. These are the keys to my survival in the Thousand Despair. Wang Sheng didn't hide anything from what he said. He did strengthen these things, and indeed used them many times in the Thousand Despair. So, the next step is to strengthen my sense of hearing. Then when you look for those alchemists to refine pills previously, it was actually to strengthen your sense of smell. When the Son of Heaven heard this, he immediately thought of the time when Wang Sheng asked him to borrow the alchemists. A little, but the most useful thing is the fragrance of cosmetics. Wang Sheng had already strengthened his sense of smell and completed the transformation. Now that he said it, he wasn't afraid of others interfering. Since the Son of Heaven had guessed it, then he would admit it and let him be happy. The Son of Heaven nodded thoughtfully. He approved of Wang Sheng's idea of not being the strongest in terms of combat power, but just being suitable for the occasion. Because the Son of Heaven's cultivation technique also didn't seek combat power. Instead, it strengthened one's thinking and calmness. Don't look at the high level of cultivation. If used in battle, even Wang Sheng's transformation couldn't compare. But this didn't prevent the Son of Heaven from becoming a wise and far-sighted Son of Heaven. A person who knew his own advantage and magnified it was far smarter than those who only knew how to improve their combat power. As for killing people, Wang Sheng only needed to use his heavy sniper crossbow to kill a person from a few miles away. Why would he need to fight in close combat for dozens of rounds? Thinking of this, the Son of Heaven suddenly had an idea. He wanted to see how far Wang Sheng could go. Of course, he wouldn't tell Wang Sheng face to face. He would arrange it after he returned. First, he would wait for the spies in the mansion to report to Wang Sheng's expression after reading the information. It would definitely be interesting. All right, you go back and wait. The people you want will be sent to your mansion soon. The Son of Heaven directly said and waited for a good show. Wang Sheng and the Son of Heaven chatted for a while. Then, Mei and the Queen came out together. After greeting each other, Wang Sheng and Mei left together and returned to the mansion. Old Zhou, if we send a few beautiful dancers to Changshan Ho, will he not be able to resist? When there were no outsiders, the Son of Heaven suddenly asked Steward Zhou as if he was joking. Master Ho will definitely be able to resist. Steward Zhou replied without hesitation. The Queen didn't react in time. When she heard that the Son of Heaven wanted to send a few beauties to Changshan Ho, she suddenly exploded. What are you going to do? Why send beauties to Changshan Ho? Isn't this too? I'm just asking. Didn't old Zhou say that he definitely won't touch them? The Son of Heaven smiled and comforted his wife. As he said that, he didn't forget to give Steward Zhou a look, signaling him to speak. Don't worry, Empress. Changshan Ho can stay by Mei side for such a long time without touching her. His will isn't ordinary. Steward Zhou quickly explained with a smile. For people like him, he will only let down his guard when it's someone he completely trusts. If it's someone else's gift, he won't even take a second look. Didn't you say that he already has a mistress in Carefree City? The Queen wasn't a good person. She immediately grabbed the so-called second wife of Wang Sheng in Carefree City and started to talk. Men are all unreliable. One sentence killed a whole boat of people. Even the Son of Heaven was scolded. The Son of Heaven laughed a few times and gave Steward Zhou a look again. That female assassin in Carefree City, Changshan Ho shouldn't have touched her. Steward Zhou carefully smiled. Shadow has seen her many times. The news he sent back said that according to the palace's secret method, that female assassin hasn't lost her virginity yet. This news made the Queen's anger dissipate a lot, but she began to worry again. He has a woman by his side, but he didn't touch her. Could it be that he can't have sex? Puff! The Son of Heaven almost spat out a mouthful of water. If this was heard by Wang Sheng, it would be very interesting. Unfortunately, I can't tell him. Empress, don't worry. Steward Zhou didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He could only try his best to explain. The informant in the inner courtyard of the Marquis's manor personally helped Marquis take a bath. Marquis is normal. He might even be a few times better than normal people. Empress, don't worry. Chapter 676. To think that she had even found out about Wang Sheng's affairs. This Empress was truly formidable. Fortunately, Steward Zhou was smart and managed to deal with it. After returning to the palace, the first thing the Emperor did was to gather the 3 experts and 2 of his most trusted ministers. Together, they studied the possible method that Wang Sheng had mentioned today to see if it was feasible. This is a heaven-sent opportunity. The most important advisor of the Emperor, Prime Minister Luo Xingyan, who once helped the Emperor plan the ceremony, listened to Steward Zhou's report and thought about it a few times. He suddenly slapped his thigh excitedly and praised. Although he didn't know who came up with this idea, to be able to make use of Changshan Ho's current situation to stir up trouble, he was simply an expert. The 3 old eunuchs definitely wouldn't have such a good mind. The other advisor also looked confused, so it definitely wasn't him. Then it could only be the Emperor's idea. Steward Zhou reported on his behalf, and the plan was only a rough framework. It still needed to be supplemented in detail. This also showed that the Emperor was taking advantage of the situation. To be able to come up with such a plan, his years of meticulous assistance were not in vain. From the beginning of the ceremony, Luo Xingyan realized that the royal family's opportunity should have come, and now this plan proved this point. Once he thought that he could rule the world in the future, Luo Xingyan was so excited that he almost jumped up. A total of 6 people studied in the imperial study for half a day, but they still couldn't completely perfect the plan. The meeting was temporarily dismissed, and everyone went back to rest and continue the next day. Give Changshan Ho a copy of the calm heart technique that I cultivate. At night, the Emperor and the 3 old consecrators had a meal together. During this time, The emperor suddenly thought of something and ordered Steward Zhou, "Send it over together with the dancers and musicians," he requested. "Your Majesty." Steward Zhou was shocked. How could the emperor's cultivation technique be so easily shown to others? The emperor seemed to know what Steward Zhou wanted to say, so he waved his hand and asked, "Today, Changshan Ho said that his cultivation strengthened his vision, taste, and smell. Do you think it's credible?" Credible. After the three of them pondered for a while, Stewardly spoke first. "We can roughly guess Changshan Ho's cultivation realm. To be able to kill someone from a few miles away, it's impossible to rely solely on external forces. At the very least, one must be able to see. His vision must have been enhanced. According to the information sent by the Shadow, when he was in Carefree City, Changshan Ho should have strengthened his sense of taste. It is said that that was the time when he created the most delicacies." Head Steward Li introduced the information related to Wang Sheng's cultivation. In addition, Changshan Ho has also strengthened his strength once. That time, he got used to it in Carefree City for 2 whole months. The Temple of Laojun also announced to the public that the regular script and the 3 giant statues of the 3 Purities Temple were also the work of Changshan Ho. That time, Changshan Ho disappeared for more than a year. Chief Stewardly recalled and said, "The sculpture and regular script should be related to one of Changshan Ho's advancements. I just don't know what he strengthened this time." "Calm your mind," Tianzi suddenly replied. "This time, he must have strengthened his calmness. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to control himself when facing Mayer. Based on this vision, taste, strength, and in addition to calm his mind, he said that he relied on the taste of cosmetics to improve his sense of smell. This means that his cultivation is at least in the 5th stage realm, which is similar to what we have mastered." Head Stewardly analyzed. Other than strength, the other enhancements are not directly reflected in his battle power. His soul is special after all. It is said to be able to upgrade, but it is just a remnant soul. Steward Zhou added on, "So in terms of battle power, he should be lacking. But his senses are really sharp. I suspect that the strengthening of calm his mind might have other abilities. Otherwise, there is no way to explain his ability to control man-eating ants and discover demonic beasts in advance. If we include this ability, he might not be in the 5th stage realm, but the 6th stage realm." Old Eunuch Shin pondered for a moment and said. Hearing this, everyone nodded. They followed Wang Sheng into the core of the 1,000 Despair Grounds. Along the way, Wang Sheng's sharp senses were simply amazing. If Wang Sheng could hear this, he would definitely give these people a thumbs up for their analysis ability. His trump card was almost analyzed by them. Unfortunately, these people definitely did not know how powerful the 9 words incantation was, and that was only Wang Sheng's one advancement. Help him, even give him the calm heart skill that I am cultivating. Who knows, it might help him and Mayer get married sooner. Tianzi listened to everyone's words and nodded. This time, he wants to strengthen his hearing. If his hearing is also strengthened, will he be able to come and go freely in the core of the 1,000 Despair Grounds? When the 3 old eunuchs heard that Tianzi wanted to help Wang Sheng and Mayer get married, they immediately understood what was going on. It was just a cultivation method, as long as he instructed Wang Sheng not to teach it to anyone else. As for after this, the royal family would benefit greatly. The 3 old eunuchs tacitly nodded their heads. Thinking of Wang Sheng's sharpness in the 1,000 Despair Grounds, at least the 3 old eunuchs understood that if Wang Sheng strengthened his hearing, it would not be a problem for him to go in and out of the core of the 1,000 Despair Grounds alone. Then, Wang Sheng's previous promise of drawing a map of the core of the 1,000 Despair Grounds would not be a lie. Even if it was for this temptation, the Tianzi would do his best to support Wang Sheng's cultivation. Send the things and people over tomorrow. Seeing the attitude of the 3 old eunuchs, the Tianzi knew that they would definitely not object, so he ordered. After giving the order, he asked another question. Do you know what Changshan Ho and the others did after returning? Changshan Ho brought Miss Mayer out of the city and went to the Laojun Temple. Manager Li hurriedly reported, knowing that they went to the Laojun Temple, our people did not follow them. The Tianzi nodded his head and did not comment. Sending people to follow them to the Laojun temple? That would be a waste of manpower. Withdrawing was the right thing to do. Although they did not know why Wang Sheng and Mei Er went to the Laojun temple, it was a good thing that Wang Sheng could bring Mei Er there. Moreover, the Laojun temple was the force behind Wang Sheng now. It was normal for Wang Sheng to visit the Laojun temple after returning. Arrange it well. Take the initiative to provide whatever Chang Shangho needs. There's no need to wait for him to ask. The Tianzi then ordered. Not to mention anything else, he can give us hundreds of millions of gold coins every year. Don't let him suffer any grievances in the capital. Let him treat the capital as his home in the future. He will give us more and more opportunities. Wang Sheng had consecutively sent 2 big gifts to the royal family. One was the grand ceremony of the Tianzi conferring titles to the feudal vassals, and the other was the situation of provoking the feudal vassals to fight. If everything went well, the day of the royal family ruling the world was not far away. The Tianzi had never been so high-spirited. Perhaps it could really be realized in his lifetime. Chapter 677. Wang Sheng bringing Mei Er to the Laojun temple was really out of Mei Er's expectation. The Laojun temple was now Wang Sheng's sect, and Mei Er knew about it. However, Wang Sheng had never brought Mei Er to the Laojun temple before. This time, Wang Sheng took the initiative to bring her to visit the Grand Abbey Dean, and Mei Er was simply pleasantly surprised. Even if she didn't get the recognition of the Laojun temple, just being able to meet the Grand Abbey Dean of the Laojun temple was a great opportunity for countless Taoists. Mei Er was a Taoist believer, and she was so excited along the way that she needed the help of Wang Sheng's confrontation formula to calm herself down. This time, Wang Sheng felt a little guilty because Mei Er was worried about the carefree city and even helped him to stabilize Aki. He knew that Mei Er believed in Taoism, so he specially brought her to meet the Grand Abbey Dean. Of course, there was no lack of intention to introduce her to the sect, at least to let the Grand Abbey Dean know who he cared about the most in the capital city. The Grand Abbey Dean was very satisfied that Wang Sheng immediately came to the Laojun temple on the second day after he returned. He personally arranged a small courtyard for Wang Sheng and Mei Er to settle down, and personally accompanied Wang Sheng and Mei Er to the Laojun temple to offer incense to the Laojun temple. He even personally cooked a vegetarian dish and treated the 2 of them to a vegetarian banquet. After dinner, the Grand Abbey Dean arranged for 2 Kuan Taoists to accompany Mei Er to the Laojun temple for her evening lessons, while he and Wang Sheng went to the meditation room where the Grand Abbey Dean usually meditated. It's absolutely safe here. Don't worry and talk. In the afternoon, the Grand Abbey Dean had received a hint from Wang Sheng that he had something to say. The Grand Abbey Dean had arranged it quietly until now. Wang Sheng and Laozi Taoist temple were now bound together for good or bad, so he did not hide it. Taking advantage of the absence of old Taoist Ling Su, Wang Sheng roughly repeated what he had said to the emperor this morning. Some words could only be said when old Taoist Ling Su was not around. Otherwise, with old Taoist Ling Su's compassionate and peaceful personality, he would definitely find trouble with Wang Sheng. One must know that the idea that Wang Sheng gave to the emperor might lead to a war between 2 countries or even multiple countries. How could the old Taoist tolerate such a thing? However, the Grand Abbey Dean was different. In Wang Sheng's opinion, the Grand Abbey Dean was the most suitable leader for Laozi Taoist temple. He was also the right person who was most likely to bring Laozi Taoist temple to its peak. He was proficient in Taoism's theories and techniques. He had principles but was not inflexible. He was determined to bring Taoism to greater heights without any selfish motives. He was the most suitable leader. Wang Sheng's judgment was right. At least when Wang Sheng was narrating, the Grand Abbey Dean was listening quietly. He did not jump up in anger, nor did he point at Wang Sheng's nose and scold him for bringing misery and suffering. He was very calm until Wang Sheng finished. This is the current situation. The quota that I asked for Qian Xingyuan was actually for Taoism. In the future, The underground palace of the grounds of 1,000 devastations can be seen. There is no need to be secretive anymore. In the end, Wang Sheng concluded, however, there will definitely be many variables in the situation. As for what our Tao sect can do in this situation, I hope that Grand Abbey Dean will carefully consider it. The Grand Abbey Dean nodded slightly and thought about it seriously. After a while, he raised his head and said, if there really is a war, it will be a good opportunity for Taoism to expand. Don't you think that the idea I gave them is vicious? Wang Sheng asked in surprise. Even though the Grand Abbey Dean was not as inflexible as old Taoist Ling Su, he was still a true Taoist. Wang Sheng did not expect him to not scold him in the face of such a situation. Before coming here, Wang Sheng was prepared to be scolded. Wang Sheng had even prepared the 9 syllables Sanskrit mantra for him to be scolded. However, the Grand Abbey Dean did not scold him. This isn't something that you, elder, want to see happen. The Grand Abbey Dean said calmly, from the moment they forced you to open the grounds of 1,000 devastations in Tongxing City, it was actually their own choice. It has nothing to do with you. Rather than saying that the current situation was pushed forward by you, elder, you might as well say that it was caused by their ambition and greed. The Grand Abbey Dean's voice seemed to contain a calming power, allowing Wang Sheng to relax. Just as you said, there are some things that small countries cannot get involved in. However, they're determined to get involved regardless of the consequences. Elder, if you stop them, you will end up offending them. You cannot be blamed for that. Wang Sheng was quite happy to have such a reasonable and understanding Grand Abbey Dean. At least he understood him and did not misunderstand him. At the end of the day, it's just taking advantage of the situation. The Grand Abbey Dean analyzed with a smile. Even if you don't mention it, those people inside will think of it sooner or later. By then, you will still have to face the same situation. This time, Wang Sheng really heaved a sigh of relief. The heaviness in his heart was greatly reduced. Although everything was for the sake of seeing the girl of his dreams as soon as possible, Wang Sheng would not feel good if he really had to bear a great debt of blood. As Wang Sheng had said a long time ago, Wang Sheng was a warrior and a killer, but not a butcher. The reason why Wang Sheng said so much to the Grand Abbey Dean was that no matter what kind of natural or man-made disasters there were, it was always an opportunity for religion to flourish. If Taoism could take this opportunity to expand, it would be a powerful support for him. Another reason was that Wang Sheng hoped that the Grand Abbey Dean could comfort him. If he always had a guilty attitude, it would be impossible for his cultivation to improve. The Grand Abbey Dean did not disappoint Wang Sheng and successfully comforted Wang Sheng. In such an environment of mutual deceit, it was definitely not because of Wang Sheng's appearance that these conflicts had arisen. At most, it was because Wang Sheng had acted as a catalyst, bringing some things forward. That was all. But it is still related to you, Elder. The Grand Abbey Dean pondered for a while and continued, Elder, you can't just let go of everything. How about this, Elder? Write out the 10 chapters of the Tao Te Ching. I'll let the Lao Jun see the great virtue and recite it to clear away your sins, Elder. Wang Sheng nodded and agreed. He had originally planned to give Tao Te Ching to Taoism for the Grand Supreme Lord to read. It would be good to take it out bit by bit. Elder, you let Taoism know about this in advance. We can make arrangements in advance, and maybe we can even clear up a lot of military disasters. The Grand Abbey Dean continued, It is also a great merit for you, Elder. How about this? The Grand Supreme Lord Temple will set a rule in the future. When one's cultivation reaches a certain state, he or she can go to your property to be trained in the mortal world. This will also help the Grand Supreme Lord Temple to train more determined pillars of Taoism. There were rewards and punishments. This was the reason why the Grand Abbey Dean was the Grand Abbey Dean. Wang Sheng acknowledged this very much. Chapter 678. In the Laojun Temple, Wang Sheng and Mei stayed for 3 days. During these 3 days, Mei devoutly burned incense and worshipped in the Laojun Temple. She followed the Taoists and did her homework in the morning and evening. She even took a day to go to the Three Purities Temple to burn incense for the three giant statues. She was extremely devout. Wang Sheng also sat in the Sutra Depository of the Laojun Temple for 3 days and wrote down 10 chapters of the Tao Te Ching. The rest of the time, he also followed the old Taoists and did their homework in the morning and evening to calm his mind. During these 3 days, Wang Sheng did not think about anything else. He just emptied his mind among the old Taoists and felt the tranquil atmosphere of Taoism. 3 days later, when Wang Sheng and Mayer left, Wang Sheng had regained his fighting spirit. Mayer could clearly sense the change in Wang Sheng. When Wang Sheng was happy, she was happy too. In addition, this time Wang Sheng could be said to have registered himself in the Laojun Temple. Mayer's mood was quite good. As soon as he returned to the Marquis residence, Wang Sheng found that the dancers and zither players that he wanted from the emperor had already been sent over. Less than 2 hours after Wang Sheng returned to the Marquis' mansion, Steward Zhou, who lived across the street, came to give Wang Sheng another scroll. Heart of Tranquility, what is this? Wang Sheng asked Steward Zhou in confusion. It's just a cultivation method that is helpful to the Marquis. Steward Zhou mysteriously did not tell the truth, and only said that it was helpful to Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng also knew that he would not be able to get anything out of him. However, he was sure that at least at this stage, the emperor should not have any ill intentions towards him. Thus, he accepted it with ease. Anyway, no matter what cultivation method it was, it had to be simulated and optimized by the combat consciousness minion. If there was anything fishy, the combat consciousness minion would be able to detect it. There was no need to worry at all. Mayer began to get busy. Soon, gold coins would be sent to her doorstep. The total amount was as high as 400 million. This huge sum of money needed a suitable place to be stored and used properly. Just this alone would take a lot of time. As for the camp that belonged to Qian Xingyuan, Wang Sheng had already told Mayer. There was no need for Mayer to worry at all. Wang Sheng stayed in his Marquis residence. He first opened the information about the innate seductive bones collected by Steward Li and read it bit by bit. Wang Sheng remembered that the Emperor and Steward Zhou's and Steward Zhou's expression, Tian Tian. Sheng and Wang Sheng Li said, Sheng Wang is eyes. Sheng S Tian Sheng S saw, Tianis. He finally knew why the Emperor and Steward Zhou had that kind of expression. Previously, old Taoist Ling Su told Wang Sheng about some taboos about the innate seductive bones. Wang Sheng clearly remembered that the old Taoists said that a person with the innate seductive bones could only consummate the marriage when Wang Sheng had cultivated to the 7th stage. Even if Wang Sheng had the protection of the 9 secret words, he would need to at least reach the 6th stage. However, these were just the guesses of the old Taoist Ling Su. To be safe, Wang Sheng did not do anything to make even if he had completed the Bai Wu transformation and reached the 6th stage. However, the information given by the emperor was a whole realm higher than the requirements of the old Taoist Ling Su. Wang Sheng needed to at least reach the 8th stage to consummate the marriage with Mayer. Otherwise, he would still suffer from the backlash of the innate seductive bones. In other words, even if Wang Sheng was tempted by Mayer, he had to wait until he reached the 8th stage before he could touch Mayer. Compared to the judgment of the old Taoist Ling Su, Wang Sheng was more inclined to the information in the palace. After all, the information in the palace had been put into practice by the emperor. As for the old Taoist Ling Su, everything was based on the judgment of the old Taoist and some records in the Taoist sect. The Taoists in the Taoist sect certainly had no practical experience. In this regard, they were not as experienced as the palace. Therefore, Wang Sheng was inclined to the records in the palace. Although Wang Sheng was confident in the 9 secret words, he did not dare to completely trust the judgment of the old Taoist. To be safe, it was better to wait until the 8th stage. The content was similar to what the old Taoist had said. The difference between the two was the cultivation realm. However, the content of the royal family had a very inconspicuous one. That was to cultivate the emperor's cultivation method, mind of calmness. This could lower this requirement. At the 7th stage, one could pamper the innate seductive bones concubine. Mind of calmness? This was the cultivation method cultivated by the emperor? Wasn't this the cultivation method that Steward Joe had mysteriously delivered to him? This was actually the secret cultivation method cultivated by the emperor. Needless to ask, it must have been given to him by the emperor. It should have been sent to him after he returned. The old Taoist Ling Su had said that the emperor's mind of calmness was mainly a cultivation method to strengthen the emperor's calmness and wisdom. It was not suitable for battle. The emperor gave this cultivation method to Wang Sheng. Was it for Wang Sheng to cultivate? Was it a reward for Wang Sheng? But if he cultivated this mind of calmness, would it reject other cultivation methods and cause him to be unable to cultivate other combat cultivation methods? Was this a reward or a scheme? Soon, Wang Sheng understood that this should be the emperor's reward. Thinking about it, the reputation of Wang Sheng's lack of aperture points had spread like wildfire. Since Wang Sheng could only use his strength and heavy sniper crossbow to eliminate his opponents, and most of the spiritual chi tempering was to strengthen his senses, then the emperor should have taken it for granted that Wang Sheng didn't have a suitable advanced cultivation method. That was why he specially used this mind of calmness to rope in Wang Sheng. Unfortunately, the emperor didn't know that the number of aperture points Wang Sheng had left behind the geniuses of the same level. No matter how advanced the cultivation method was, facing a monster like Wang Sheng, it would seem that the number of aperture points needed was too little. Even so, the emperor should have good intentions, and this cultivation method might not be impossible for Wang Sheng to cultivate. It was better to let the little person with combat consciousness optimize it first. Opening the scroll of the mind of calmness, Wang Sheng carefully read the cultivation method word by word. In the spirit source space, one of the 16 little people with combat consciousness immediately stopped the work of deduction and began to practice according to the cultivation method recorded in the mind of calmness. Wang Sheng was very glad that he had the little person with combat consciousness. Otherwise, just trying to figure out the meaning of the words in the cultivation method would take a long time, and he might not even understand it correctly. With the little person with combat consciousness, there was no need to worry about this problem. Even if it was incorrect, it was just a wrong result, and there was a chance to correct it. This cultivation method was like this. There were a lot of content that made Wang Sheng confused. He still had to rely on the little person with combat consciousness to deduce it. This was not something that could be done overnight. It would at least take a few days to come to a conclusion. The surprise came so suddenly that Wang Sheng was caught off guard. He thought that it would take a few days to deduce the cultivation method, but the next morning, it gave Wang Sheng a big surprise. When he woke up in the morning, Wang Sheng subconsciously checked his body and spirit source space. Suddenly, he found that his 16 little people with combat consciousness had now become 17. Chapter 679. Wang Sheng was a sniper. His biggest advantage was his boldness and meticulousness. With just a sweep of his source spirit space, he realized that there was something wrong with the number. After a careful count, there was indeed something wrong. 17, the combat consciousness homunculi had turned into 17. Two of them were obviously different from the others. One could tell that they were split into two. However, for no reason. How could there only be one homunculi splitting and not all of them? What was the difference between these two homunculi? In the first moment, Wang Sheng immediately attributed the problem to the maintaining calm heart cultivation technique. These days, Wang Sheng was either on the road or meditating in the Laojun Temple. He had not come into contact with anything related to cultivation other than the maintaining calm heart cultivation technique. The maintaining calm heart cultivation technique was the Son of Heaven's cultivation technique. It could allow the Son of Heaven to maintain a calm and wise mind. The higher one's cultivation, the more active the brain would be. It could be said that this was a cultivation technique to strengthen the brain. He did not know what the Son of Heaven's source spirit was. Every time he advanced, his spiritual energy would strengthen his brain. There was no doubt about the validity of the cultivation technique. To be able to split the combat consciousness homunculi, it must be a good cultivation technique. One must know that Wang Sheng's cultivation was not enough to make the combat consciousness homunculi continue to split. But the maintaining calm heart cultivation technique only took one day to do it. The effect was immediate. What else was there to say? He immediately controlled the other 15 combat consciousness homunculi to stop the simulation and cultivate the maintaining calm heart cultivation technique. If the 16 combat consciousness homunculi could become 64, the efficiency of the simulation would double. What was there to hesitate about? After instructing Manager Wang to not receive any guests for 3 days, Wang Sheng stayed in his own practice room and quietly stayed there for 3 days. Every day, he would cultivate, exercise, and recuperate. After 3 days, Wang Sheng finally saw that the combat consciousness homunculi in his source spirit space had become 32. The number had changed, but there was a side effect, which was that all the combat consciousness homunculi were a size smaller. Wang Sheng understood that this was because his cultivation was not enough and his spiritual energy was not enough. If he wanted to make up for it, he had to either increase his cultivation or use a large amount of elixirs similar to the good fortune pill for the combat consciousness homunculi to absorb. What was he waiting for? Wang Sheng told Mayor. In the afternoon, 100 nature pills were placed in front of Wang Sheng. In the past, Wang Sheng had spent millions of gold coins to obtain a nature revival pill. But now, ever since that sect had been annihilated by the joint forces of all sides, the pill recipe had been leaked and the cost of the pill had plummeted. A single pill could be bought for several 100,000 gold coins. To Mayor, if Wang Sheng wanted an elixir similar to the pill of fortune, how could it be better than the pill of fortune? Wasn't it just a matter of tens of millions of gold coins? Wang Sheng had just earned 400 million yuan in Tongxing City. It's great to be rich. Wang Sheng sighed. Without hesitation, he picked up a jade box containing the pill of fortune and opened it. Before the pill could trigger a change in the sky, he popped it into his mouth. A large amount of medicinal energy instantly entered his body and rushed into his source spirit space. Under Wang Sheng's control, it was divided into 32 strands and poured into each of the small people with battle intent. The small people with battle intent seemed to know that this was a good thing. Everyone followed the calm heart cultivation method and crazily absorbed the medicinal energy of the nature revival pill. When Wang Sheng had just completed the Dragon Kiss transformation, a single nature revival pill was enough to make Wang Sheng's body explode. Even if Wang Sheng had completed the Tao Dai transformation, the second nature revival pill would have directly allowed Wang Sheng's source spirit to complete the Tao Tai transformation. But now that the spiritual energy of the nature revival pill had entered his source spirit space, it didn't even take half an hour before it was completely absorbed by the 32 small people with battle intent. It didn't even leave a trace for Wang Sheng. Of course, there was still an effect. At least the 32 small people with battle intent were a bit bigger than before. This method worked. Wang Sheng did not hesitate to open the second box and put another nature revival pill into his mouth. Then he continued the cycle. The nature revival pill itself could change one's physique. When Wang Sheng had asked for the nature revival pill in the past, it was because the royal doctors had diagnosed that Wang Sheng's previous years of hard training and battles had increased the number of internal injuries in his body. Therefore, taking the nature revival pill this time, even if it was mainly for the small people with battle intent, it would still have many benefits for Wang Sheng. This was because the spiritual energy had to be digested and absorbed by Wang Sheng's body before it entered his source spirit space. Even if the spiritual energy that entered his source spirit space was not absorbed by Wang Sheng, when it passed through his body, it would naturally strengthen Wang Sheng's physique. Knowing this, Wang Sheng was lying in a warm bath before taking the nature revival pill. Now, Wang Sheng had money and manpower. The water in the bathtub was not stagnant. Instead, it was flowing water that had been heated by someone outside. The water flowed continuously, removing some of the impurities that had been expelled from Wang Sheng's body due to the nature pill. When he took the pill for the first time, His body was greasy and uncomfortable. Now Wang Sheng did not have to suffer that pain. Even if Wang Sheng was willing, it didn't matter. Mei was also not willing, not to mention there was still Steward Wang. If the person who was boiling the water dared to slack off, it would definitely not be good. If the person who was testing the temperature made the marquee feel hot or cold, it would not be good. If the water was cut off, it would not be good. As for the area around the bath where Wang Sheng took the pill, there were at least 100 young experts from the Laojun Temple guarding it. There were also dozens of female guards. It was a bit exaggerated to say that it was impenetrable, but it was really impossible for a fly to fly in. In the Marquis's mansion, the spirit gathering array was always open. It was at least 50% more efficient than cultivating in other places. Wasn't it to train soldiers for 1,000 days to use them for a moment? If they did not protect the Marquis at this time, when would they be used? From the beginning, Wang Sheng was almost constantly taking the nature revival pill, taking one every half an hour. Every time he took 10 pills, Wang Sheng would rest, eat something, and drink some water. He would solve the urgent need to use the toilet, and then continue. Once in the morning and once in the afternoon, he took 20 pills a day before stopping. Those who did not know what pills Wang Sheng was taking did not think much of it. Wasn't it just 20 pills a day? As long as one's cultivation was high enough, it was not a problem to digest and absorb it in time. But there were quite a number of people who knew what pills Wang Sheng was taking. For a pill like the Nature Revival pill, even for a 7th or 8th degree realm expert, taking 2 pills a day was the limit. Wang Sheng was taking 20 pills a day. Did he not want his life anymore? Wasn't he afraid of bursting? But thinking back, when Wang Sheng was still in the 1st degree realm, he directly took 2 Nature Revival pills and directly advanced. Now that Wang Sheng was at least in the 5th degree realm, maybe even the 6th degree realm, 20 pills didn't seem to be an exaggeration. Chapter 680. Including Tianzi, when they received the news, they were all shocked. They all knew that Mayor was searching for nature pills all over the capital. But everyone thought that she just needed a lot of pills for a large number of guards to consume. After all, Changshan Ho's residents now had a lot of people, and many of them were important people. It was urgent to improve the cultivation of the guards. People were still amazed at the generosity of the Ho's residents. But who would have thought that this was prepared for Wang Sheng alone? Tianzi jumped up on the spot and asked loudly, "This guy doesn't want his life anymore." Even a legendary expert would have to stay awake for several days and nights to digest the medicinal potency of the 20 nature pills. Otherwise, they would explode from the spiritual qi, transformed from the surging medicinal potency. How could Wang Sheng withstand it? Changshan Ho looks very good, Manager Li reported. According to the information from the informant of the Ho's residence, Changshan Ho got up to eat, drink, and rest. At night, he accompanied Miss Mayer to walk a few laps in the back garden and listen to a few songs. He didn't explode? There are no other abnormalities? He became normal just like that? Tianzi couldn't believe his ears and asked Manager Li. "It is said so." Manager Li smiled bitterly. When he first received the news, he also couldn't believe it. This was not news from one informant. If all the informants said so, then it wasn't fake news. Why? Tianzi's interest was aroused again. He excitedly asked, "Is a unique medicine method?" According to the information, the medicine method is indeed a bit special. Manager Li thought for a moment and answered truthfully. Then he said the method of Wang Sheng lying in the bath to take the medicine, and finally added his own judgment. But according to this servant's inference, this method won't have much effect. It should be that Miss May doesn't like Ho Ye's dirty body. Ho Ye being able to bear the medicine is related to his own physique. Should I let someone try? Tianzi suddenly had an idea in his mind, and then he directly rejected it. I can't afford it. Tianzi really wanted to cry. Don't look at how Tianzi could take out 10 million gold coins for Wang Sheng to buy shares at any time. But that was the royal family's small treasury. To really use 10 million gold coins to test a medicine method, the royal family really wasn't that generous. Even if Wang Sheng and Mayer had earned 100 million gold coins for Tianzi and the Empress, These gold coins could be used to train hundreds or even thousands of masters. It wasn't like Wang Sheng, who was extravagant, piling tens of millions of gold coins on one person. In the future, he had to keep Wang Sheng by his side, not for anything else but for his heaven-defying ability to make money. As long as Wang Sheng could bring an endless stream of gold coins to the Son of Heaven, the royal family would be able to continuously cultivate more experts. The royal family's strength would also become stronger, and the possibility of achieving great things would also be higher. The next day, Wang Sheng still didn't do anything else and continued to take the medicine. To his surprise, when Wang Sheng swallowed the 30-second pill, Wang Sheng found that all the little people with fighting consciousness had absorbed enough spiritual energy and became the same size as before. Wang Sheng stopped. After pondering for a while, he tried to let all the little people with fighting consciousness continue to cultivate. As for Wang Sheng himself, he took advantage of this period of rest to speed up the absorption of the medicinal qi in his body that the 32 nature pills had brought about. There was no better way to absorb it. It was to let the body replenish after a huge consumption and speed up the metabolism to absorb it. The method that Wang Sheng chose was still the one that tempered his body. Running, long-distance running, sprinting, acceleration running, variable speed running, using equipment, carrying weights, try to make himself sweat. This kind of training method was disdained by those masters, but Wang Sheng enjoyed this process very much. For this, Wang Sheng even ordered Steward Wang to dig a large swimming pool in the courtyard next to his training room. Sometimes, swimming for a long time was the best way to train the body. Furthermore, it wouldn't hurt or damage the joints. Steward Wang didn't say anything and immediately gathered a group of experts. In less than half a day, they dug out a large swimming pool that was 30 feet long, 60 feet wide, and 10 feet deep. According to Wang Sheng's requirements, the swimming pool was sloping. One side was only 4 feet deep, and after 10 feet, it was 10 feet deep. The other side was the same depth. There was no cement. Instead, it was paved with huge polished stones. It was no worse than using tiles. It took only one day to complete such a huge project. Large amounts of gold coins were scattered. Who knew how many people were working for Wang Sheng? The large swimming pool was filled with water from the well on the other side of the Marquis's residence. Hundreds of servants took turns to work. All of them had a foundation in cultivation. In a night, the swimming pool was filled with water. Therefore, Wang Sheng had another way to train his body, and that was swimming. One lap around the swimming pool was 300 meters. Wang Sheng swam 20 laps at a time. After swimming, Wang Sheng would put on a special set of weighted clothes and sink into the swimming pool. He would practice Tai Chi at the bottom of the pool, which was 10 feet deep. At first, he wasn't used to it. Wang Sheng would practice for at most 10 minutes before he had to get up to breathe. However, as Wang Sheng familiarized himself with the underwater environment, coupled with the slow absorption of the nature pill's medicinal effects, Wang Sheng was able to last at least 20 minutes underwater after 10 days. He could even complete a complete set of the 24 forms of Taiji Fist. Everyone who saw this thought that Wang Sheng was bewildered. But only Wang Sheng knew what he was doing. Needless to say, the more small people there were, the faster the deduction speed would be. When entering the core of the ground of Thousand Despair, the more small people there were, the greater the alert range would be. It was unknown how much safer it would be. In the swimming pool, other people only saw Wang Sheng exercising his body. He didn't walk the usual path, but this was Wang Sheng's strengthening training. Everyone thought that the core of the ground of Thousand Despair was a world of ice and snow. But everyone knew that it wasn't like this 500 years ago. It was the influence of various complex formations. At the same time, this world of ice and snow was also the accumulation of 500 years. But one day, if all the formations were destroyed, the core temperature of the ground of Thousand Despair would rise to a normal level. What would happen then? One had to know that the edge of the world of ice and snow was a jungle. When the temperature rose, the ice and snow in that area would melt and turn into a huge lake. Wangsheng didn't believe that 500 years of accumulated ice and snow would melt and flow away in that basin. If he didn't seize the opportunity to strengthen his swimming skills now, then when, in the water, the feeling of a golden carp swimming slowly returned to Wangsheng's body. The changes brought about by the 32 nature pill also began to appear on Wangsheng's body. His physical body began to strengthen. All of his senses, whether they had been strengthened or not, were strengthened by at least 10%. His body's coordination increased as he swam and practiced. Based on Wangsheng's estimations, in the short span of 10-some days, Wangsheng's unarmed fighting prowess had at least doubled compared to before he returned to the capital. Chapter 681. From the first time he took 32 nature pills, Wangsheng didn't continue to take them for a full 20 days. This also made the emperor, who had been paying attention to the movements in the Ho residence, heave a sigh of relief. As long as Wangsheng wasn't fooling around, it was fine. 30 over elixirs might be Wangsheng's limit, right? But no one knew why Wangsheng took so many nature pills. In fact, after taking so many nature pills, if he couldn't absorb the medicinal effects in time, even if he was fine, it would be a waste. Obviously, Wangsheng's cultivation didn't improve by leaps and bounds. In everyone's eyes, it was naturally because Wangsheng wasted more than 30 nature pills. That was a pill of fortune. If it was cheaper, it would be 500,000 gold coins each. 32 of them would be 16 million gold coins. Prodigal. The emperor wished he could personally run to the Ho residence and point at Wangsheng's nose and scold him. He had seen squandering, but he had never seen such a squandering. Tens of millions of gold coins just thrown away like that. Mayer was the same. How could her heart be tied to Wangsheng? They hadn't consummated their marriage yet, and it was already like this. If they really consummated their marriage, wouldn't Mayer be eaten alive by Wangsheng? Wangsheng wanted to fool around, but Mayer actually took out the money without hesitation. Really, after so many days, there were already people sending the gold coins over. Those who were close to the Ho residence had already completed the handover. Those who were far away were still on the way. But many people had already heard about the Changshan Ho residence buying 100 nature pills at a high price. Everyone was guessing what the Ho's mansion was planning. In the end, a servant of the Ho's mansion accidentally revealed that all the good fortune pills were for Wangsheng. This shocked everyone. A few people immediately realized that this was the reason why Wangsheng only needed to rest for a month before he could re-enter the core of the Land of Thousand Despair. Entering the core region of the Land of Thousand Despair had exhausted many experts, and Wangsheng was the only one who could recover quickly. Perhaps it was because of the nature pill. Of course, these people would never have guessed that with just a little water and quicklime, Wangsheng's daily consumption in the grounds of Thousand Despair would be much lower than others. However, how could Wangsheng reveal this secret? Even when he went in with the 3 imperial consecrators, Wangsheng only showed them an ice house. He didn't reveal this. Now, Wangsheng suddenly realized that his sense of sight, smell, and taste seemed to be showing signs of a breakthrough. He felt that he was already on the verge of a breakthrough, but he was unable to take another step forward. It was very uncomfortable. Wangsheng understood that this definitely had something to do with the good fortune pill. Maybe if he took more good fortune pills, he would be able to break through. Coincidentally, at this moment, the 32 battle consciousness midgets successfully split again, turning into 64. This time, the effects of cultivating the Tranquil Heart Sutra were not as obvious. It took a full 20 days for the 32 battle consciousness midgets to successfully split. During this period, Wangsheng had been observing, and he would not be wrong. The speed of the battle consciousness midget simulation was absolutely world-shaking. 1 hour in the soul origin space was equivalent to 3 to 4 months outside. The first time he cultivated it, he only used 1 night. In reality, it would take 5 to 6 years. 5 to 6 years, and it must be the kind of amazing talent. To be able to double his brain power, this cultivation technique was absolutely amazing. No wonder the Son of Heaven wanted to cultivate it. However, the second time he cultivated it, it took a full 20 days, which was equivalent to 40 times the first time. 70 to 80 years to double his brain power should be the limit of the Tranquil Heart Sutra. Even if the battle consciousness midgets were powerful, it was impossible to have a third breakthrough in a short period of time. Thus, the Son of Heaven began to be shocked again because Wang Sheng continued to take the medicine. This time, it was still 20 pills a day. In 3 days, 60 pills were consumed. But Wang Sheng still acted as if nothing had happened. Every night, he would accompany Mei Er to eat, chat, and walk around. Then, the nature pills in the capital were once again plundered by Mei Er because Wang Sheng said that it was not enough. At least 60 pills were needed. Unable to plunder in the capital, Mei Er searched all over the world. She even sent a letter to the Imperial Treasure House, Bao Qing Yutang, asking them to help. Finally, within 2 days, she collected another 60 pills. From start to finish, it was 160 nature pills, which was equivalent to 80 million gold coins. Listening to this number, the Son of Heaven felt pain in his heart. If these gold coins were used to train the experts of the royal family, the Son of Heaven would not even blink. But to give it to Wang Sheng, it was really a waste. For the second round of nature pills, Wang Sheng took 7 days. To be exact, it was 6.5 days before he finished the 128 nature pills. For the 64 battle consciousness avatars, each of them needed an average of 2 nature pills to return to their original size. This also meant that the deduction ability of the battle consciousness avatars had expanded by 4 times, or even more. The range of alert had also expanded by at least 4 times. Those who knew how many nature pills Wang Sheng had eaten this time didn't know what to say. 128 pills. 3 old royal consecrators and 3 experts at the peak of the legendary realm. Would they dare to eat as many nature pills as Wang Sheng? Even if they had 10 guts, they wouldn't dare to do so. However, from the beginning to the end, Wang Sheng didn't break his own rhythm. 20 pills a day, 6.5 days, it was simply too scary. The problem was that after eating more than 100 nature pills, Wang Sheng actually didn't have any improvement in his cultivation. This was really puzzling. Even if it was a pig, after eating so many nature pills and absorbing them, it should have advanced by now. However, Wang Sheng didn't. Did he eat them all into a dog's stomach? Wang Sheng didn't care about the thoughts of the people outside. Wang Sheng was already very satisfied to be able to increase the number of battle consciousness avatars to 64. A mere 80 million gold coins was nothing. Wang Sheng was willing to spend it, even if it was twice as expensive. Now, Wang Sheng continued to train his body, continue to train with various equipment, continue to swim, and continue to practice Tai Chi underwater. He completely couldn't care about what was happening outside. How long would it take to digest and absorb the accumulated medicinal energy of 128 good fortune pills? When Wang Sheng practiced Tai Chi underwater, there were only those guards from the Laojun Temple around the swimming pool. This was requested by Wang Sheng. These guards were also happy to observe the great elders Tai Chi up close. They were all excited as if they had taken stimulants. One had to know that this was an opportunity for them to observe and learn from the inventor of Tai Chi. It was unknown how many people were fighting for this opportunity. When Wang Sheng started punching, no one could see Wang Sheng's figure. They could only see one huge whirlpool after another appearing on the surface of the huge swimming pool, producing a loud rumbling sound. Just by looking at the sound, one could imagine what the outcome would be if they were hit by it. Chapter 682. Every guard was filled with excitement and joy as they watched the scene of Wang Sheng practicing every day. This was a rare opportunity. Even if it was a disciple whose cultivation in Taiji Fist was not up to par, watching Wang Sheng practice every day would give them a lot of benefits. For this reason, the leader of the guards had even arranged a schedule for the guards of the Marquis's mansion, so that all the disciples in the capital would be able to see it. When Wang Sheng did not use the pool, it was time for the guards to experience it one by one. The Marquis's mansion had made more than 10 sets of heavy clothes of different sizes so that they could personally experience it. Water, soft and kind, was in line with the original meaning of Taiji. Not only did Wang Sheng's Taiji fist advance by leaps and bounds in these few days, even the guards had benefited a lot. This time, it took another month to train his body. During this period, Wang Sheng did not forget to take some time out every day to listen to music and the zither. In the black and white checkered piano path in the spirit space, there were 88 keys. Wang Sheng's source spirit had already walked through half of the 44 keys, but after that, no matter how many songs Wang Sheng had never heard before or how many zither songs he had never heard before, they could not make Wang Sheng take another step forward. Wang Sheng understood that this was another bottleneck. Just like the previous few times, he needed to make another breakthrough. Following that, the zither players that the Son of Heaven had sent to the Marquis's mansion and those that Mayer had already invited began to get busy. It was not just one instrument, but a combination of various instruments. They even searched the world for all kinds of new instruments for Wang Sheng to listen to. Sure enough, when he heard some new tunes played on the new instruments, Wang Sheng felt that the bottleneck had begun to loosen. The piano path continued to move forward. It was still the same ratio. For every 10 instruments, it would make Wang Sheng move forward by 1 key. Mayer was all over the world helping Wang Sheng collect all kinds of musical instruments, while the Son of Heaven was at a loss in the palace. Although Wang Sheng had already told him that he needed to listen to all kinds of songs and musical instruments in order to strengthen his hearing this time. Wasn't this a little too out of tune? Who cultivated like this? As the saying goes, money makes the world go round. If Wang Sheng were to search for these instruments and musicians all over the world by himself, it would take him an average of 3 to 4 days to find a musician for each instrument. With so many instruments and musicians, it would take at least a year or two. But now that the Qiansheng Yuan Runzi workshop has put out the word, all the musicians in the world will bring their instruments and come to the capital to perform for Wang Sheng. In the short span of a month, Wang Sheng had come into contact with no less than 200 musical instruments from this world. It could be said that over 99% of the musical instruments in this source spirit world, Wang Sheng had already come into contact with them. Finally, when Wang Sheng crossed the 66 piano key in his source spirit space, Wang Sheng ushered in a small-scale breakthrough in his hearing. It was a type of spiritual qi body tempering, but it was not this spiritual qi body tempering when advancing. It would not cause the heavens to change, but it was a real spiritual qi body tempering. When a huge amount of spiritual qi poured into Wang Sheng's body, Wang Sheng finally let out a sigh of relief. With this opportunity to temper his body with spiritual qi, the 160 nature pills medicinal power that had accumulated in his body could finally be completely cleaned up. The spiritual qi crazily swam in his body, washing away Wang Sheng's body, taking away the medicinal power in Wang Sheng's body, purifying it into spiritual qi, rushing through all the acupuncture points, rushing into the source spirit space, and finally rushing to Wang Sheng's ears, concentrating on strengthening Wang Sheng's inner and outer ears. Wang Sheng had experienced this kind of strengthening several times. He knew that his consciousness could guide this strengthening process in a small range, so he deliberately concentrated on his inner ears. Wang Sheng did not want to become big ears because of strengthening his hearing. Aki's companion who was killed by Wang Sheng with excellent hearing was nicknamed Big Ears, and his notable feature was that his ears were bigger than a normal person's. Wang Sheng did not want to become like that, so he concentrated on strengthening his inner ears. In addition to maintaining his normal appearance, by improving the sensitivity of his inner ears to improve his hearing, there was another benefit, which was to strengthen the semicircular canal. The semicircular canal in the human body was the inner ear sensory device related to maintaining posture and balance, and it was very fragile. Shock weapons attacked the semicircular canal, making the human body lose balance, unable to stand, unable to maintain posture, and always fall into a state of dizziness. If the attack was fierce, it could make people lose consciousness. Strengthening the semicircular canal could also increase Wang Sheng's resistance in this aspect. Wang Sheng had already planned to strengthen the semicircular canal at the same time as strengthening his hearing. The aura was concentrated in the inner ear and continued to strengthen. Wang Sheng could feel his hearing improving. As the strengthening continued, Wang Sheng even found that he could actually rely on his ears to feel the vibrations from the ground. This was a powerful function that Wang Sheng had never thought of. Although the vibrations he could feel now were relatively large, Wang Sheng firmly believed that this was just the first small-scale strengthening. When he really advanced to the Kinyu transformation, it would definitely bring him a bigger surprise. A few hours later, Wang Sheng found that the world he was in seemed to be slightly different from before. His eyes, ears, nose, and tongue were all many times stronger than when he was on Earth. When he felt this world through them, it was really too different from when he first came. Wang Xingning could hear the light footsteps very clearly. Previously, the maids were afraid of disturbing Wang Sheng, so they deliberately wore soft-soled shoes to walk, and there was almost no sound. But now, Wang Sheng could hear it clearly, and he could even tell whose the faint footsteps belonged to. Most of the medicinal power that had accumulated in his body had been cleared. As long as he formally tempered his body with aura again, he would definitely be able to completely absorb and digest it. Previously, he had felt that there was a possibility of a breakthrough in focusing his senses. Now, Wang Sheng had firmly believed in this. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit away from reaching the next, more sensitive realm. Perhaps Wang Sheng's own cultivation was not enough. When the Kinyu transformation advanced, he should be able to complete these final transformations. At this point, it seemed that all he needed to do was to find new musical instruments and continue listening. But the problem was that almost 99% of the musical instruments in this world had already been heard by Wang Sheng. Once again, Wang Sheng had to face a new problem. That was, like the food at the beginning, if he wanted to complete the Kinyu transformation, it seemed that he would have to make his own musical instrument and then play a song. Making musical instruments was easy. Wang Sheng only needed to move what he had on Earth that was not available here. But what about the music? Was he going to copy it and turn himself into a musician? In addition, how was he going to play it? After thinking about it, he did not know what to do. He simply stopped worrying and made it first. Chapter 683. The origin spirit world was similar to ancient China on Earth, so the musical instruments were similar as well. They already had all kinds of musical instruments. Even if they wanted to introduce something new, it would just be a change in form without changing the contents, which was essentially meaningless. Therefore, they could only make Western musical instruments. And the simplest, other than the sandhammer triangle, seemed to be the guitar. To be honest, Wang Sheng had only touched the guitar, but had not really immersed himself in learning it. When he was in the recruit company, there was a comrade with a guitar, and Wang Sheng had played along a few times, playing the simplest romance of love. Now that he wanted to make a guitar, the first thing that Wang Sheng thought of was definitely the Grandmaster of Linglong Workshop. Grandmasters were also fine, but other carpenters might not be able to produce that kind of sound quality. The strings also needed Old Tai's help. Wang Sheng did not have a good attitude towards the emperor, but towards these grandmasters, Wang Sheng had always been respectful. If he wanted to ask the grandmasters for help, Wang Sheng had to personally make a trip. This was the first time that Wang Sheng went out after coming back from the Laoju Monastery. Wang Sheng did not directly go to Linglong Pavilion, but first went to Qian Shengyuan to see the business here. Ever since Qian Shengyuan opened, Wang Sheng had not been there. When Wang Sheng came, even the shop assistant at the door did not know him, and only treated him as a distinguished guest. It was only when the shopkeeper saw that the marquis had come that the shop assistant knew Wang Sheng's identity. Just like what Wang Sheng had imagined, the top quality shops in the front were visited by scholars or other customers from time to time, while the top quality shops in the back were rarely visited. Just one visit would be a big business of hundreds of thousands of gold coins. Wang Sheng did not go to Runzi Workshop. After all, it was a women's shopping world, and Wang Sheng naturally did not want to offend that rule. It was his own business and his own rules. If he did not abide by them, how could he do business? On the way, he bought some wine in the best restaurant and prepared to bring it to the masters. Unfortunately, although these wines were known to be good, they could not reach the level of Wuliangye on earth. They could not even compare to Erguo Tu. As soon as he arrived at the exquisite pavilion, Wang Sheng greeted Manager Chun and went straight to Master Lu's place, as he was familiar with the place. This was his sculptor, so he couldn't neglect him. He's here. Master Lu was thinking about how to carve a stone into an inkstone. When he saw Wang Sheng walking over, he glanced at him and said before he focused his attention on the stone again, "Right now, Lu Yin was already the best in the world." There were only a few hundred pieces that had been released. Those who owned it all treated it as if it was a precious treasure. Usually, if he wasn't playing with it and appreciating it, he would take good care of it. He wouldn't let anyone touch it easily. Even if it was someone close to his family, he would remind them repeatedly not to use too much force or they might damage it. Take a look. What would be more natural if you carve this? After pondering for a while more, Master Lu handed the stone to Wang Sheng so that Wang Sheng could give him an idea. Wang Sheng took the stone and studied it carefully. He did not need to think too much about the material of the stone. It must be one of the most suitable materials for making an inkstone. Master Lu was considering how to make it according to the local conditions instead of cutting away most of the materials. That was why he spent more time thinking about it. The bottom of the stone was flat, which was clearly the bottom of an inkstone. There was an irregular depression in the middle of the upper part. The edges were uneven, but the edges were relatively flat. Master Lu was probably thinking about how to make use of this irregular depression. After thinking about it carefully and combining it with the shapes of inkstones he had seen on Earth, Wang Sheng came up with an idea. However, he still asked Master Lu, "Master, is this depression enough to make an inkstone?" "It's enough." Master Lu had studied it for a long time. The stone was made of a special material. The uneven, coarse parts around the depression were difficult to deal with. If it was broken, it would be a piece. If he could not figure out what to do, he could only scrap it. Master Lu could not figure out how to deal with it at the moment, which was why he pondered until Wang Sheng arrived. "Why don't we carve this part into a natural inkstone in the shape of a small pond? The surrounding houses will be painted with firewood, and it'll look like a farmhouse. Isn't that perfect?" Wang Sheng immediately voiced his idea when he heard that the area was enough to make an inkstone. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Sheng's vision blurred. His grip loosened, and the stone left his hand and went into Master Lu's. Master Lu stared at the depression. He could no longer see anyone or anything else. Wang Sheng was stunned. He shook his head. Master Lu was a person who regarded his work as his life. However, judging from how he snatched Wang Sheng's stone earlier, Wang Sheng could tell that Master Lu's cultivation base seemed to have surpassed the 8th stage and entered the legendary stage. From the looks of it, the recent changes did not just affect cultivators. Even great masters like Master Lu were affected. "Great! Wonderful!" Master Lu finally slapped his thigh and praised Wang Sheng after he was left in a daze for a while. He had not figured out how to deal with this part, but Wang Sheng's words enlightened him. The stone, which he initially thought was hopeless, immediately became the embryo to become a masterpiece. Master Lu carefully stood up and put the stone in a special metal box. He walked over to Wang Sheng and extended his hand. Wang Sheng immediately offered the wine to him. Master Lu opened the jar and sniffed it. He nodded in satisfaction before he asked, "What are you doing here?" "I'm looking for a few masters to help me make a few musical instruments," Wang Sheng answered honestly. "Musical instruments?" Master Lu frowned right away. He really could not understand Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng wanted to learn how to carve steels. Then he wanted to make stationery such as brushes, ink, paper, and inkstones, and now he wanted to make musical instruments. What was he trying to achieve by doing so many things at once? Some small things related to cultivation. Wang Sheng did not hide it, since he had told the emperor about it. What was there that he could not tell Master Lu? He explained with a smile, "It's mainly to strengthen my hearing." Thanks to Wang Sheng's sharp senses were the foundation of his rampage in the land of 1,000 devastations. As a result, All clans were trying to recruit talents who could strengthen their senses during their advancement. These people were not valued in the past, but they were now highly sought after. Who are you looking for? Do you need me to do it? Master Lu stopped asking when he heard that it was related to cultivation. Everyone's cultivation was a secret, and it was impossible to simply reveal it to others. I initially wanted to look for Old Man Tai and Master Lu, but I thought that since I'm going to make musical instruments, I might as well see if there are any masters in this field. Wang Sheng smiled cheekily at Master Lu and said, "Do you know any masters in this field? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."